Let's get it for another round of rugby league action, and we are live. Hey guys, how you going? So now BK Sport. Let's shake and bake, baby, as we've got the Thursday night game between the Parramatta Eels, the Parramatta Eels, and the Melbourne Storm in a it's not a big game. Let's be honest. At the end of the day, based off of recent results that have kind of led down Parramatta's favour or against, I guess, the Storm in a lot of ways as well, you can say that this actually could be a really good game here tonight. I just wouldn't necessarily say there is a great deal riding on it, besides maybe to say that the Eels will avoid the spoon with a win here today. Not that they technically will, but they probably will. And the same thing goes with the Storm. They're obviously up there in the top three right now. We'll get into the ladder in a second, but they would effectively solidify themselves as a top four team with a win here tonight. So it's there's not a great deal to play for, but there is still a lot to play for in that sense as well. And both these teams, if the Eels play like they did against the Broncos last week, we could see an absolute belter here tonight, because that was an unbelievable game between the Broncos and Eels just last week. I know Broncos fans, I know Olivia's not going to be a big fan of that one, but at the end of the day, facts and facts, you know what I'm saying? Facts and facts. But let's quickly go over the games that we're going to be watching this round. Obviously, we'll be live for every single game, but we'll go through the games that are played this round, then we'll get into the two-team lineups, talk about what we're thinking about this game tonight, then we'll get into the ladder, and then I'll get into the chat and see what you Muppets are saying. So obviously, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and let's smash it out. Tonight, obviously, we've got the Eels versus the Storm. CommBank Stadium, like I told you, this is going to be a game where both teams have things to play for, but just nothing of significance in my personal opinion. There's nothing dramatic about what you're going to see unfold here tonight on the ladder. Tomorrow we have the Warriors versus the Dolphins. Jeez, that's a big game for the Warriors. That is a massive game for the Warriors, and apparently they've got a few outs as well. Dolphins obviously playing for their top 8 spot. They are literally in 8th position right now. You've got the Broncos versus the Rabbitohs. That is a big game for both those teams. Broncos have not solidified themselves as a top 8 team just yet. The Rabbitohs obviously coming off that demoralising loss to the Sharks, which was so close and controversial, but at the end of the day, they are in last position right now. They do play the Titans next week, which will be huge for them. However, the Rabbitohs are in last, so they're trying to avoid the spoon. Broncos are trying to make sure they make the 8. That would be a big game. Then you got the Titans versus the Panthers on at Saturday. The Panthers, obviously, they're fighting for a top 4 spot, especially if the Warriors do lose to the Dolphins tomorrow. The Panthers will be fighting for a top 4 spot, whilst obviously the Gold Coast Titans, they're trying to avoid the spoon. Again, they play the Rabbitohs next week, which is really the key telling point. But at the end of the day, there is a lot riding on that game as well. The Dragons and the Raiders are trying to maintain their spot at the top of the table, so that is a big game for them. The Dragons, it'll be done dead in the water if they lose. They're out. They're not making the finals, but it'll be dead in the water if they lose that game. So a big game there. Manly and the Roosters, you're not going to be getting a bigger game than this weekend. This is 9th versus 10th, and whoever wins will, well, not necessarily be in the 8. But if Manly win, they put themselves into the top 8, themselves alive, realistically, in my personal opinion. So they're really on the edge of the ice. They're in bloody Antarctica, the Roosters, and they're either just holding on to the ice just here, or it's about to snap right off. So that's that game on Saturday. Tigers versus Bulldogs, we all know how big that one is for the Lachlan Calvin effect. The Tigers, I think they've avoided the spoon, but technically they can still get it. Bulldogs obviously fighting for a home final in the first week of the finals. And then you've got the Sharks and the Cowboys, which coof be an absolute shit-fest of a game, eh? That could be a dire game to finish off this round on our favourite day, Sunday, here on the channel. That could be, geez, we might have to drink some whiskey to get through that one, to be fair. But the Sharks, obviously, they're fighting for their top 8 spot, and the Cowboys, they're fighting for pretty much nothing at the moment. But technically, if I say the thing about the Dragons, and I can say the same thing about the Cowboys, because Cowboys are 11th and Dragons are 12th. So that's the round this week. The Knights also have the bye, which is huge for them to try and avoid the spoon. However, they're definitely not away from the spoon, because the Titans and Rabbitohs are right behind them, but we'll see how that one does crack on. But let's get into these two team lineups. The Eels, they're in 14th position, whilst the Storm are in 3rd position. This is CommBank Stadium in Sydney. Now for the Eels, completely unchanged lineup. No ins, no outs. They're not shaking nothing about. Josh Papali'i, he's the fullback. Really good last week that he made a mistake and learnt a lesson, but didn't get punished for it realistically. And I saw that on one of the podcasts. I don't watch podcasts, but I saw it on Instagram as a reel, and I loved that wording, because he really did learn a valuable lesson by knocking that ball on for Reece Walsh to score, but didn't get punished because obviously it was a no try for Reece Walsh being offside. So Josh Papali'i is the fullback, with the wingers being Zach the Taxman Lomax and Josh Adokar. The centres are Will Penasini and Sean Russell, and Dean Hawkins is the 5'8", with Mitchell Moses as the captain. This guy, geez, I tell you what, like, if he's playing, the Eels have a good chance of winning any game. If he's not playing, the Eels have a good chance of coming last every single damn season. They are awful without Moses, but when he's playing, he really brings them all together, and they all really stand up to his level. It's really great to see. Now, you go to the props, which is Jermaine Hopgood and Junior Bolo. Riley Smith as the number 9. Then you go to Charlie Geimer and Jack Williams in the back row. And Luca Moretti comes in off the bench from the 15 to the starting lock position. You've got Dylan Walker, who drops from the 13 onto the bench with Talon De Silva, Matt Dury, and Sam Tuivaiti. The 18th minute replacement is Jordan Sambrani. The coach is Jason Riles. This Eels team, like I said last week, got a really good win against the Broncos. They nearly had their hearts broken, literally on the siren. But obviously, well, not literally on the siren, but close enough. It was such a fantastic game where the Eels really stood up, and you could clearly show that when they've got Mitchell Moses, they're just a different team, man. They really are. They're a different team that just knows how to compete in games. And no, Parramatta fans, I do not think you are a top 4 team with Mitchell Moses and a full-strength lineup like that, but I do think that you are a highly competitive team at the top 8. I don't think you're consistent enough. I don't think that Moses plays every single game, and that justifiably then makes you a premiership contender. I don't believe that. I still think that you are inconsistent. Moses can still have off games, and the Eels absolutely do still tend to probably lose more often than not, but it would make them a genuine contender for a top 8, even top 6. I wouldn't put them top 4, however, especially with the way the competition is this year. So I do think it is a bit of a rough one for the Eels that he has been in and out, because they would have been having a much better season, but they are still inconsistent, right? But you go have a look at their recent games. They obviously won that, like I said, last week, 22-20 over the Broncos, and that was at Suncorp too, which makes it even bigger. But the Broncos are very shaky, as you've seen. They lost the Raiders 40-16. They lost the Panthers 32-10, had a bye. Lost the Dragons 34-20. Beat the Titans 36-20, but that's no hard task. There's the bye. They lost the Bulldogs 30-12 and lost the Panthers 18-10. So in recent weeks, remove last week, even though that's valid, but remove last week, the only team that they've really recently beaten is that Titans team since all the way back on the 23rd of May. So the Eels are showing just... They do lose more often than not, and they are super inconsistent, but it's not like they've taken a huge scalp. People will look at the Broncos and think they're a huge scalp based off of their record in recent weeks. However, the Broncos, they make a bucket load of errors really frequently, but still find a way to win it, and nearly did last week, but they obviously didn't. And that's all, semantics. That's just a lot of chat, realistically, because ultimately the Eels did beat the Broncos, and the Broncos were in 5th, and that is just a fact, right? But at the end of the day, I still need to see the Eels be a little bit more consistent. With Moses back in the team, it gives them that opportunity. They take on a very good team here today in the Melbourne Storm, where they're not expected to win, but if they played at the same standards as they did last week, they have a great opportunity to win, because the Storm are definitely not unbeatable. They are not unbeatable, and no one's unbeatable, really. I still think the Raiders are definitely beatable, and I think they're due a loss at some point. They could even be due a loss this week, even though it's against the Dragons, but we'll talk about that on Saturday. But no one's unbeatable, and the Storm absolutely are a beatable team here. Beatable team here today if they play those standards, but I just know Parramatta. I know Parramatta too well. We watch every game here. We've been here I've watched this sport my entire life. Parramatta is Parramatta. So there is genuinely still the greatest opportunity for them to go and lose by 50 today. They are a very inconsistent team, even with Mitchell Moses. So I will remind you of that they do have a chance to win today, but I've seen plenty of them where they've got a chance to win and then completely get destroyed, right? And this is a team that could happen to today. Now, the Storm, they've got Cameron Munster, Jonah Pezzett, Lazarus Va'alepu, and Little Malone Puppy, Ryan Pappenhausen coming in, with the outs being Jerome Hughes, Kane Bradley, Siwalongi, Tuimalatu Brown, and Trent Loiero going out. So, look, a couple of big outs there. Obviously, Jerome Hughes is a massive out. We know that. They don't have a great record when he's not playing in games. Yes, they do get Munster and Pappenhausen back into the team, which is huge. Trent Loiero is also a big out for them because he is an Origin representative, although I don't personally necessarily see it. And I know that he's not necessarily a massive kind of part of the X factor of the team. He is still a hard worker in the team, right? So that is a big out for them because it is an Origin representative and an Origin winner. Don't forget it, New South Wales. I can say this all year long and until next year. Now you got the fullback, which is a little puppy run. Pappenhausen comes back into the team with Grant Anderson and Xavier Coates coming in, to the wing. Jack Howarth and Nick Meaney are the centres, with the 5'8" being Cameron Munster, who comes back in after missing last week's game. And then the halfback is Tyron Wisher. who replaces Jerome Hughes. You got the front row forwards of Stefano Utuakamanu and Josh King, with the number 9 being Harry Grant, the captain, who had one of the best individual performances of this season across any game, across any team last week. Harry Grant was absolutely spectacular in that game against the Roosters. He really was, especially with no Munster, with no Papenhuyzen, and for Jerome Hughes to go down. He needs to be the guy that stepped up, and holy damn well, gee whiz, he stepped up, man. He stepped up, man, galore. Now, the back row is Shaw Blaw and Eliezer Katoa, with the 13 being Ativalu Lesati, who also comes in off the bench. The exact same thing for the Eels. The 15 comes into the 13. Ativalu Lesati, and then the interchange is Tui Kamikamica, who was originally the 13. He's now on the bench. Jonah Pezzett, Bronson Garlick, and Joe Chan, with the 18th man replacement being Lazarus Varlepu, and the coach is Craig Bellamy. This Storm team has every opportunity to win this game, and they should be winning this game. You know, I'm aware that they're out of Jerome Hughes, but Tyron Wishart is a solid player as well. He comes in, they've got Munster and Papenhuyzen back. They've still got no excuses, man. They won last week, obviously, against the Sydney Roosters 34-30. It was a very tough game. There was no defense. Craig Bellamy really should be ripping into them about their defense recently, because they even gave up 18 points to Manly the week beforehand, where they did lose that game 18-16, and that was in Melbourne. Now, this is obviously in Sydney. They were in Sydney last week, so probably would have just stuck around, to be fair, but maybe not. They might have flown back and gone back. It's not too far. But ultimately, you know, their last two games, you look at it and you go, the Roosters, they're okay. They're in the middle of the table. Their season is nearly done. Not done quite just yet, but nearly done, and it was a real big struggle. But the Roosters did play up to their opponent, and the week before, we obviously saw Manly win 18-16, but the week after that, as in last week, Manly went and lost by about 40 to the Bulldogs, and the Bulldogs have been a very up-and-down team recently as well. So it's a bit of an odd one there, but you look at it and say the Storm and Manly is one of the biggest rivalries in the game that goes back many years now. Not as long as other rivalries, but it's been very hot since probably around the 2007 time, when obviously they were playing each other in grand finals quite frequently, and the Storm got caught for cheating. So look, that was a huge loss for them, but I can look at that as a rivalry game. Now, before that, they won 32-14 over the Knights. Whoop-de-doo. They beat the Cowboys 26-20. Both teams were out there Origin stars. Whooped the Sharks 30-6, which was a huge result. But then again, the Sharks are the Sharks this year, and they're lucky they're still not on scam after what we saw last week against the Rabbitohs, despite winning. They only just got over the line against the Rabbitohs, 25-24. There was the bye, 38-14 win over the Cowboys, controversial 28-16 win over the Titans, and then you go back to their loss against the Sharks, 31-26. And the week before that, they beat the Tigers 64-0. So this really does show this is not the same Storm that you know of recent years. They are able to win games by big margins. You've seen the 64-0 there. You've seen the 38-14 over the Cowboys. There's the 30-6 over the Sharks. But there is also a lot of really close games here that are against teams that you wouldn't necessarily expect them to be close. Like that Titans game where they won 2016 was controversial, but also a very close result. The Rabbitohs game, they're in second. This is the two last and second last teams in Titans Rabbitohs, was a 25-24 win for the Storm, and it was just, I think that was extra time, wasn't it? It might have been extra time, might have been last seconds. Point of it was very, very close. And then you go down to the Roosters one, which was also an extremely close game with a team that just simply isn't that fantastic this season. And then they've got a couple of big results here against big teams, but ultimately the Storm are relatively inconsistent themselves this year, despite the fact that they're in third position. Now, they are playing for second tonight, and you would assume that they do win tonight. I am going to tip the Storm here today, but I just know that this team is very inconsistent. This could be the point of the season where they start to get a bit of a roll on, but they have a really tough run home. They've got the Eels here today, which should be an easier matchup. Then they've got the Broncos at home, which they usually win, but it's still against the top 8 team. The Penrith Panthers at Combank Stadium, the Canterbury Bulldogs at Amy Park, and then the Roosters again at Amy Park, and the Broncos again at Suncorp. So they actually play they play the Roosters quite a bit in this back end alongside the Broncos. Both teams they play 4 times in the last 8 games of the season, which is quite strange. But they've got quite a difficult and tricky run home. So this is a must win here for the Storm if they genuinely believe they're going to be a team that situates themselves in second position, or they want to be in the top 2. I don't really think that this club really cares a great deal about the specific positioning of their season. I really don't think they care too much about it. But at the end of the day, as long as they're a top 4 team, and I think they will, I definitely know they'll be a top 4 team. But look, I'm tipping the Storm here today. I'm going to tip them by 13 plus. I feel like this is one of those games where the Eels can be the Eels, but I know this season, and I know upsets galore. There's an upset. There's at least like 3 upsets around, which is just absolutely crazy. 3, even 4. We could go 50-50 this season. It's been dramatic in regards to the upsets. So, look, if the Eels come in and play like the game against the Broncos, sure, but the Storm are a better team than the Broncos, and I don't know how much the Eels are actually playing for, because I don't think the Titans or the Knights or the Rabbitohs are going to probably have enough wins to jump above them by the end of the season. So, look, ultimately, I'm going to tip the Storm here 13 plus, but I could absolutely see a world where the Eels get the upset. I just don't have the ability to tip it personally. Now, in regards to the ladder, the Storm, they're in third position. The game starts in 15 minutes time, is it? No, it starts in 5 minutes time, sorry. Now, the Storm, they're on third position on 32 points by themselves. Now, they've got the best points differential by a country mile of plus 222, and this could potentially get ugly too. But if they win this game, they would go above the Bulldogs for the time being, who are on plus 136, and they'd both be on 34. However, the Bulldogs do play the Tigers this week, and you'd expect the Bulldogs to win that game. So, for me, I've got the Storm finishing off the round in third, but they've just got to hope that, a couple of teams beat the Raiders this back end of the season, because they've still got a bye to come, Canberra. They've still got a bye to come, and they're 4 points above the Storm. I just can't see anybody chasing them down there for that top spot, but the Storm just have to win today to be in the race for that still. If they lose this game, however, they will stay in third position, but the Warriors, they play the Dolphins tomorrow. If the Warriors win that game, they would be equal with the Melbourne Storm, but their points differential is awful for a top 4 team at plus 28. So nothing's going to change there unless the Storm lost this game by 122 points, and the Warriors would still have to win this game by about 70 to 80 points, right? So that's why it's just, there's no point even thinking about that. So the Storm more than likely will finish off this round in third, win or lose, but they'll keep themselves in the hunt for the top spot if they do win. For the Eels, on the other hand, they're on 18 points, which is equal with the West Tigers and also the St. George Illawarra Dragons. The Eels have a minus 147 points differential, Tigers minus 135, and the Dragons minus 64. So they've got the worst points differential by a decent little bit on the Dragons, but the Tigers... the Tigers aren't too far away from them. If they were to win this game, they would go above the Tigers and also the Dragons and also the Cowboys on 19 points. They would go to 11th position. The Dragons play the Raiders. You would expect the Raiders to win that, but I do think the Raiders are due a loss. The Tigers play the Bulldogs. I'd expect them to lose, but even if they did win, there is a potential the Eels could still finish above them with both teams winning and that 12 points differential separating. But that would mean the Eels would have to win by a decent bit, which I can't see. So, look, I actually think if they win this game, they do finish off this round in 11th position, because I don't see the Cowboys beating the Sharks either, but anything can happen with Cronulla. And then if they lose this game, then they're back in that wooden spoon battle galore. You know, the Titans, Knights, and Rabbitohs are all on 16 points. The Knights have a better points differential with minus 116. The Titans are only 2 points behind them on the points differential with minus 149, so they could absolutely jump them. And then you've got the Rabbitohs who are on minus 151. And they play the Bronx. The Knights actually get the bye, so the Knights will actually go above the Eels at the start of this game. So the Eels drop down to third last, so they will finish off the round in third last if they lose, and then there is obviously just the Titans who have to beat the Panthers, good luck with that, and the Rabbitohs who have to beat the Broncos, good luck with that. So they probably would finish off the round in third last in 15th, but there is a chance that they could actually go into the spoon this round if both the Titans and the Rabbitohs won, because it is only a 4 points differential that separates the Eels from the Rabbitohs, and a 2 points differential that separates the Eels from the Titans. And like I said, the Knights have about a 30 points differential better than them. So yeah, there is a chance the Eels go last. I doubt it. It would take 2 dramatic upsets this week with the Titans and Rabbitohs, but it is a possibility. Anyway, that's the preview for today's game. Obviously, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new around here. We'll be live for every game this weekend, as you guys know. As long as I don't get sick, which I have been sick a couple times in Vietnam. I'm in Ho Chi Minh. I'm in Ho Chi Minh right now. I'm not in Vung Tau. Obviously, we're in a different place, so... no, I got here today and looking forward to it. But let's get to the chat and let's see what you Muppets are getting around. Let's see what you Muppets are getting around today. Move that bad boy over there. We're ready to rock and roll. I did see an earlier donation. Olivia Reid, of course it's an early donation from Olivia Reid. Deary me, with the $8 redo dono. Says, another day, another donation. Here we go again. Thank you for your messages this week. It has been such a motivation for me to keep going. I'm going for the Eels tonight. Yeah, for clarification for everybody in the chat, get around Olivia. She's been doing a bit of fitness on her Instagram lately to get fit and healthy and smash it out. So saw it on her story and said, keep it going. You know, we believe in you. The BKR Sport, subscribers and everyone here, we all back you in, Olivia. So appreciate you for your donation, and I back you in. I back you in to have a 6-pack by Christmas. You have a 6-pack by Christmas, maybe an 8-pack. Might potentially be an 8-pack. Maybe you might even break a record and get a 10-pack. It might be possible. You never know. If you believe it, you're on. You're on, Olivia. Olivia says Jay has a spare seat next to him. Jay always has a spare seat. Now says, gee up, boys. Parramatta only won because Broncos didn't want to play and still almost lost. Well, no. No, arguably the Broncos wanted to play too much. Look at how Reece Walsh played. Like, Reece Walsh, well, Adam Reynolds didn't want to play, and Ezra Mann didn't necessarily want to play, and I can tell you Ben Hunt, and I don't even know if I mentioned his name once when I was commentating it. So, yeah, look, the Broncos played like the Broncos do. That's kind of how the Broncos play this year. If you watch their games and when they win, they kind of played like they did last week. Like, that's just kind of how the Brisbane Broncos are. But people, a lot of the time, will remove how the game was or didn't watch the game and we'll just see 6 games in a row win or 7 games in a row win and they're like, well, they're a very good team now. It's like, well, not really. The Broncos aren't really that great. They have kind of flip-flopped across the line in a lot of those games, but ultimately the 2 points is the most important thing. But I don't see the Broncos as a genuine contender for the title this season. I think they've still got a lot of problems. And you saw Reece Walsh last week. He had a lot of errors because he was trying things and he was really trying to push the play because nobody else was making plays. And unfortunately, he became the scapegoat for it. But ultimately, he was the only one really giving it a red-hot crack in a lot of factors. So, no, I think the Eels played really well last week. I think they played a really good game. I am tipping the Storm here 13+. I think they should be able to slap them. But if the Eels play like they did last week, I actually don't think they played poorly. But they did come up against a Broncos team that are a very beatable team, and I do see that Brisbane Broncos game as a game they've had quite regularly, but it's just usually they find a way to win. They just didn't find a way to win last week. Logan says, "G'day streamer, people have a Dragons upset on the cards for some reason. Don't think so, but I'm tipping a Roosters upset over Manly." Well, look, I've kind of mentioned a couple of times, by the way, the Storm are out in the field, and so are the Eels. So the game is about to kick off here. I'm going to refresh it. Oh, no, I did already refresh it, Jay. No. I didn't even see any comment. I don't even know if he's commented yet because he wasn't there early. But I definitely refreshed it. It didn't do it itself. It was definitely me. I thought about it. But no, throughout this pre-stream here, like pre-game part of the stream, I have said like the Raiders are due a loss. I don't know if they lose to the Dragons because the Dragons are also quite awful, but they're a very up and down team too. Eels will bring this ball out here to the 15 on a first tackle. But the Dragons are a very up and down team who could put performance in. They still scored 32 points last week, but against the Cowboys, whoop-de-doo. But the Raiders are due a bit of a loss. They are due a bit of a loss. Whether that comes this week or next week or a week after, there is a bye at some point for them. But there will come a time where they will lose, and then it's about them bouncing back from it and then still fighting that form after getting whacked for 6 with a loss to a team they wouldn't have been expecting to lose to. 4 tackle here to the 28, and it's like the Raiders have been pretty close in majority games. Like even last week, the Raiders were down at halftime to the Knights. Was it? I think it was the Knights game last week. The Raiders were down. Yeah, they were down 18-12 or something at halftime before obviously coming back to win that game 44-18. They slapped them. But the point is that it's there. It is there for the taking. So that's why I think that there is a potential of a Dragons upset. It's just that I'm not convinced in the Dragons. But the Raiders are due a loss. So the Storm now will be second tackle, and they will be at the 35 on their own side of the field. It's a bit of better position here. The Eels didn't have a great set to start this game off. Now the Storm will be third tackle here at the 40. Dasmate says, I've been fat, I've been skinny, the Eels have always sucked. This is a valid point you make here, Dasmate. The Storm nearly get away already. They're fourth tackle at the 40. This is a good step for them to start off the game. Silas says, Eels win. Why do you think that the Eels will win, Silas? Based on what? It's not that the Eels have a great record against Melbourne. Fifth tackle here at the 35. Now it says, Eels are box, mate. The hype will die down today. Well, sure, that's your opinion, man. I can very well agree with the latter positioning. They definitely deserve that. The Eels will grab it through Josh Adokar at the 10, first tackle. I will agree with you based off of the latter positioning, but at the end of the day, context does matter, and they have been without Mitchell Moses. They have obviously dropped Dylan Brown because he's gone to the Knights next year, and Dylan Brown hasn't been in their team, which is a decision. But ultimately, when the Eels do have the ability to play like they did last week. That is something that the Eels do as well. So, sure, look, they do lose more games than not, and I don't think that they're a big time team if they do have a full strength roster, but they aren't as bad as you're alluding to when they do have a full strength team with Mitchell Moses in the team. But again, I've tipped the Stormy 13+. So Pappenhausen will grab his ball at the 5 and he'll bring it out to the 15 on first tackle. Chicago Bulls says, oh wow, the poll is looking close. I'm just curious how the Eels got blown out by other teams, but they beat the Titans because Titans just want to chuck a dog a bone sometimes, mate. Clearly they're top of the table, undefeated. So sometimes you just go chuck a dog a bone, and let them think it wasn't actually a result for them because it was undefeated, and then the Eels, we gave them it, but then the NRL cancelled it, so that's why we're still undefeated at the top of the table. You just got to really think about these kind of things, mate. It's really important to think about how the NRL works when you're talking about the Gold Coast Titans. Now, the Storm here, where you full tackle at the 50, 3 minutes into the game. Paul says, your poll results are illogical. Are people serious? What do you want me to do? Well, what do you want me to do? Do you think it's like a PR department here? Like, I don't get to do anything with the poll. That's you guys. Blame people. My poll results are illogical. Fuck, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm not voting in the poll. I can't vote in the poll. I'm so deeply apologetic for how the poll makes you feel, mate. A therapist might be on the cards. So penalty to Parramatta at the 20. Penalty to Parramatta at the 20. And it says, why does it say Titans in first? Because they're undefeated right now. Ho Chi Minh. Get around it. Casey says, why not? Drink till you get silly, I say. Sharks, Cowboys. That's the way to go, I reckon. You'll just drink till you get silly during that game because that could be an absolute melt of a game. Libby says, I can have one or two and I'm trying to lose weight. Well, if you want to go light, if you want to still have a drink but lose weight, technically you could probably have vodka. Technically, but I'm not suggesting anything. And also, don't do it. Just get your six-pack rocking and rolling. Second tackle now for the Eels. They'll be at the 50. Benny West says Rod Wishart had more speed than Josh Addo-Carr. His son will score tonight. Sure, that's definitely shown a little bit of age there with the Rod Wishart suggestion, because I didn't really get too much of a crack to watch his speed, but I'll trust your word on it. Fourth tackle here at the 50 for the Eels. Kate says, who wants to help me with my studies? No, we're watching rugby league, mate. So the Mitchell Moses now, I don't think you realise this isn't a tutor channel. We don't do tutoring here on BKR Sport. So Pappenhausen's going to bring this ball out here to the 15 on first tackle. By the way, Benny, I saw your comment. You're down on the Mekong right now. That's pretty cool. I was on the river today. That's apparently the Storm here at the 20. I was on the river today as I was coming back from Vung Tau to Ho Chi Minh. So that was nice. I love that little boat ride, that 2-hour boat ride. So penalty here to the Melbourne Storm for an offside against the Eels. Jared Money says, good to see you're better now. Get around it with the last 6 rounds. Yeah, doing what I can, man. Doing what I can. I don't have any sniffles anymore, which is a very good sign. It's so difficult to commentate like we do here. Just talk when you're coughing and when you got a runny nose and whatnot. So I don't even have to mute it anymore, which is great. So second tackle here for the Storm at the halfway point. David says, a beer a day keeps a doctor away. This is not suggestions from myself. This is suggestions from the chat here. Just a reminder. But that's going to be Jack Howarth now to the 40 on third tackle. Storm have had the better position, but no one's had an attacking opportunity yet. Harry Grant to Munster. Munster at the back to Utukamanu, and Utukamanu will get this ball to the 33. I will mention something because I wasn't able to do it because that was the last game of the round, but I'm even more shocked in Anthony Seibold and they offload the ball back and the Eels will get the ball to 20. Bad mistake there from the Storm. Really disappointed, but it just emphasises my distaste for Anthony Seibold as a coach. And in general in Manly, there was like a 90% chance of re-injury, but they pushed Olakauatu back. That's just disgraceful. That's 3 penalties in the first 7 minutes here. Both these teams are super ill-disciplined at the moment. 3 penalties. The Eels get a penalty here at the 30. Olivia says, mine is soft drinks. I struggle without my daily Coca-Cola. Well, everything's unhealthy for you. I was able to lose a lot of weight even drinking Coke Zero, so I know there are going to be people who go and tell you a whole bunch of things, but I was able to do that. So as long as you do it within moderation. First tackle now to 25, first tackle. Because I'm the same. I love soft drinks, but I'm massive on the Coke Zeros, Second tackle over the Eels with the 20th, first attacking opportunity for either team in this game. Mitchell says Melbourne has been penalised. That's unheard of. Yeah, 2 penalties to the Eels so far, 1 penalty to the Storm. In 7 minutes, we've seen 3 penalties. That's not shaping up to be the greatest of games. Eels here, third tackle, 15 metres away. Oh, apparently restart the commentary set. They haven't said it on the... Oh, he's lost the ball. Well, that's the Eels with a knock-on, and the Storm are going to bring this out through Pappenhausen at the 10. He tries to get around. He gets away from 1, and he'll be taken down to the 15 on zero tackle, sorry. Tasman says Melbourne frauds. Frauds is probably the word you might be looking for there, Daz. Right now, this game has not started off to the greatest of of quality at the moment for either team. And Elias Katoa will be second tackle at the 35. The Storm have made one error, the Eels have made one error, and there's been 3 penalties, and that is in the space of 7 minutes. So we've seen a bad play 5 times in the last 7 minutes. That's what did Seabold do? Seabold would have been a massive part of including Hamoli Olakau'atu, despite the fact that there was a 90% chance of re-injury rate for Olakau'atu. 80 or 90%, I saw the stat. Google would be your best friend to get a better clarifier there, but Manly allowed Olakau'atu to play, despite knowing that there was an extremely high chance of re-injury, and would you have it, Olakau'atu did re-injure the exact same shoulder. Munster to Sean Bloor. Sean Bloor gives it off here to Jack Howard. Jack Howard gets away, kicks it through, and then George Papali'i will bring this ball out to the 20. Nearly loses it, but he does hold it first tackle. Olivia says, yeah, I've been trying to switch to no sugar and just one a day. Well, I never used to like Coke Zero or Pepsi Max or anything, but the more you drink it, you get used to it, and then I now actually prefer Coke Zero to full-strength Coke. Third tackle now for the Eels at the 35. Knights for Life says, losing Hughes has made a big negative impact on them. Well, of course, that's their halfback. However, this first 9 minutes is not necessarily out of character for how the Storm have played this year. With Hughes, how does Storm attack change? Well, dramatically, because it's their halfback who is the key involvement for the attacking position. So, look, they're going to find it tough without Jerome Hughes for this back part of the season. I'm pretty certain he's back by finals. But they've still got well and truly enough talent to win games. So Pappenhausen grabs his ball at 20 on first tackle. 10 minutes into the first half, 30 minutes to go. Obviously, hit that like button and subscribe. Dom says, you were right about Jerome Hughes, signed until 2030. Perth Bears missed out on him, but there are rumours they might go after Money and Harry, who are out of contract in 2027. That's great. They won't do that. Jerome Hughes has time again over many years said he's not going anywhere. The Titans knocked on his door. He obviously said, I'm staying in Melbourne. The Dolphins knocked on his door. He said he's staying there. Even the Broncos and the Dolphins have knocked on Money's door, and Munster's from Queensland. So if he's not going there, then I doubt that he's going to be going to Perth. So everyone's going to be thrown out there for a Perth Bears signing. But trust me, it won't be anywhere near as strong. Literally every single player that is potentially off contract in the next 5 years will be thrown around and floated for a Perth Bears suggestion. Another penalty in this game. 10 minutes in, we've seen 4 penalties. The Eels will get a penalty. Storm have been penalised 3 times. They've been really ill-disciplined in this first 10 minutes. Jared Money says, nice to see my wires are on fraud loaders. We deserve it. No, absolutely. Don't know if you saw my DM, but basically just said good win. JC kicked us into oblivion and Foz still has it. Well, Foz has it from time to time, but that's definitely a high tackle against Munster. Foz has it from time to time, and if he sees this, he knows I love him. But at the end of the day, I have to tell the truth, and it is his time to retire. But I want nothing more than for him to be around this club and to go into the future working with the Gold Coast Titans, which I truly 100% know and believe that he will do. But obviously, he's very good on the commentary as well for the analysis. So the Eels now will be taking down the second tackle at the 30. The Eels have had the better attacking opportunities so far. They haven't had any attack, but the better attacking opportunities. Junior Polo, they go Jermaine Hopgood, and now the Eels will be 25 metres out through Luca Moretti. Out to Jermaine Hopgood. Short ball. Another knock on. That's another knock on from the Eels. Guys, we have been here for 12 minutes. There has been 3 knock-ons, and there has been, I think, 4 penalties or 5 penalties. It's been here for 12 minutes. Well, the Storm now will get the ball to 15. Joseph said, watch every week, one of the best commentary of NRL. Finally subscribe. Well, appreciate you for tuning in, man. And appreciate you for finally subscribing. This is why a lot of people, they don't necessarily ask it nowadays, but every 10 minutes, just so that I can remind everyone that it's been 10 minutes or it's been 20 minutes and 30 minutes, I say, obviously, hit that like button and subscribe. It's because a lot of people are like you, where they don't actually realise they're not subscribed, but we come up in their feeds and whatnot, and they do actually watch quite regularly, like yourself, and they do forget to subscribe. So that's why I say, well, make sure you slap it. So, and then it's also a good point to remind people what time of the game it is. Third tackler at the 45. Tasmate says, no way they've called that. That's a brush. Basically, wipe the snot from old base. No. So Pappenhausen gives it to Sean Bloor, and Sean Bloor will be 45 metres out for tackle. Dom says, Bellamy about to catch a charge at half time. We say this every week, though. This is the Storm this year. This is how they play. It's just not the same Storm we know, but yet the Storm still know how to really reconvince you from time to time that they are the real deal, but then disappoint you greatly as well. Storm get the ball. Pappenhausen kicks it through. Will it sit up? Will it sit up? It will. Oh, great tackle. That's a phenomenal tackle by Tyron Wishart, and there's going to be a dropout from the Eels. No, it's Harry Grant. It's Harry Grant. I saw the headgear and I thought, oh, it's going to be Wishart. But Harry Grant with a fantastic tackle. Jeez, he's having a good back end of this year. Casey says we can subscribe. Well, the issue is, Casey, is that I know you've subscribed. And you know why? Because the only people who can comment in this chat are people who have subscribed. And the reason that is because otherwise you just get spammed from bots, which is what used to start happening. That's why we changed it to subscription only. You just get spammed from bots otherwise. All right, so the Eels, Mitchell Moses will drop this ball out. I'll assume they'll go for a shorty. But then again, in this middle to back end, we've been seeing a lot more of the long ones. And guess what? We are seeing a long one there. Mitchell Moses kicks it to the 40. We are seeing the game change a little bit with the dropouts. It used to be, for the last couple of years, every single dropout from every single team would be short, since Jamaica in the World Cup in 2021. And now we're starting to see teams actually realise that, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't do the short drop out every time. Dragons definitely need to learn that lesson still. So Munster now, they'll get this ball to Josh King. And Josh King's going to be 10 metres out. This is their first attack of the game here, the Melbourne Storm. Third tackle. Josh King back to Harry Grant. He fakes it left, goes right to Wishart. Oh, Wishart's not even wearing headgear today, so forget that. Fourth tackle, 5 metres out. Does he ever wear headgear? I might be off my rocker. I may be. Harry Grant, he'll get it out to Munster. Munster, that was a bit of a broken down play. Jack Howard's taken down 11 metres out from the line. Fifth tackle. Harry Grant rolls it back off to Munster. Munster puts it into a pretty good area here off the left foot. Knock on from the Eels. And it's going to be a 7 tackle set coming up for Melbourne. And they're going to get this ball back here at the 10, you'd assume. Well, no. Well, they're back at the 21, referee. What's the point of giving them 0 tackle at 21 when they'd get a fresh set of 6 at the 10? So now it's first tackle at the 15. Where was the advantage there, referee? How on earth are you not calling that? They've lost 5 metres and they're on the first tackle. Anyway, that's not kind of how that rule's meant to play out. But Stefano Ucho-Commando is 5 metres out from the line here, second tackle. Harry Grant gives it out to Munster. Munster gets taken down at the 10 on third tackle. And 6 again. Knights for Life, I'll read to comment out in a second. First tackle now, 12 metres out. Harry Grant, he'll go underneath. And not the best play there from Lisati, who is 9 metres out, second tackle. Harry Grant off to Josh King. Tyron Wishart steps. He'll be 5 metres out, third tackle, 15 minutes in. They're not getting a great deal of movement here. There is a bit of broken down play in this attack. Harry Grant now to Munster, off to Sean Bloor. He's 5 metres out, fourth tackle. Now Harry Grant, he will go quickly through the middle, and he'll be about 2-3 metres out now, fifth tackle. Harry Grant rolls it back here to Lisati. Lisati off to Munster. Munster here at the 10, kicks it through, really nice kick. He'll be dropout. Dropout coming up here from the Eels to the Storm. Knights for Life said, Seabold seems like a really good tactical analyst. I disagree, but maybe his man management skills need work. He reminds me of Cronk, good analyst. I personally disagree, but too complex for commentary is the complaint from others. I think that based off of his coaching at the Broncos and also now at Manly, they superbly underperform on the rosters that they have, which is maybe the analysts. Look, sure, if you want to talk about like from an outsider's perspective, but I think that when he's on the inside, I think we've been proven time and time again that he actually doesn't necessarily do a good job personally. Otherwise, his teams would be doing better with the rosters they do have. So first tackle at the Storm, but that's just my personal opinion. I'm just basing it off of what we see quite regularly, and I know what he did at the Broncos was absolutely dreadful, and it's not like Manly with a really good roster that I predicted for 4th position this year are doing anything great themselves. They lost by 40 points to a Dogs team that was very much struggling for points and were struggling in recent weeks, and they lost by 40 to them. And decided to put a player in that was a very high chance of re-injury, and then re-injured himself. Fourth tackle here, Harry Grant gives it off to Sean Bloor, and Sean Bloor is 7 metres out from the line. Fifth tackle. Fifth tackle. They roll it back to here to Harry Grant. Harry Grant off to Munster. Munster dinks that ball over the top into a good area. Try time for the Storm. Really nice try there for Elias Katoa, and it was a great kick from Munster. He's been getting a really good kick across from his left boot, just outside of the right post, and Elias Katoa just comes through, and he's got the try, and he's one of the best back rowers in the game for chasing through and putting pressure on kicks, getting the ball, and obviously scoring, and he scored here today. Dasmate says, I forgot to subscribe. Good, Dasmate. Very good. Very good. That's what we want to hear. Brenton says, g'day all. Hello, Brenton. Nice to meet you, mate. Nice to meet ya. Jay says, he's counted fresh, but watches every week. Get around him. Casey says, it's Mr. Succulent Chinese Meal himself, the J-Man. Sure. Well, to be fair, he's from China. Yeah, right. Yeah, truck and sex bots. That's right, Daz. I wonder how trucking's doing nowadays. Haven't seen trucking around for probably a year or two. I know he's still subscribed because randomly he'll comment from time to time. But I wonder what trucking's up to nowadays. Kent Bro says, spammed by bots. Is that what we're calling Broncos fans now? Yes. Yes, that's actually what we call them. Yeah, for sure. And don't worry, Dolphins fans. You're very similar. Bretton says, did you buy a jumbo sniff jar? You don't sound sick anymore. No, but I've still got my small one. Olivia bought a jumbo sniff jar. Olivia was saying that she bought one of those massive sniff jars. So, you know, her nose is going to be feeling fresher than a daisy. So, Pappenhausen, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, they missed the kick. Oh my gosh, he's hit both posts and he's missed the kick. Oh my gosh, he's missed the kick from right in front. He's just missed a kick from right in front and hit both posts. That is spectacularly bad, that conversion. That was spectacularly bad. Brocky says, yes, for my multi-Katoa, I have my life savings. Good stuff. I can't wait for 10% of your life savings. So 21 and a half minutes to go to the first half. Can't believe the Storm just missed that conversion. And it is 4-0. And it's going to be Munster. He'll pass it across here to Utukamanu, and Utukamanu will bring it out now to the 10 on first tackle. Nice for Life says, love watching the Storm because never at any stage of any match I do feel like they are ever out of the match. Yeah, I agree. It's like the Broncos of the 2000s. I feel like Storm fans aren't on the edge of their seat every play because of not needing to worry. Well, it's debatable how many Storm fans there actually are because they haven't gone through a period of difficulty. So, you know, I usually do like to wait for a team to go through difficult times to see how many fans they truly do have, and the Storm never have. Storm aren't necessarily the most exciting team to watch for the most part. Not usually the most. They're definitely exciting, more exciting than the Sharks recently, but the Storm are not necessarily known as the exciting team of the competition. They can put scores on, and they can be exciting, but they're a lot more structured than exciting for the most part. But you are right, the Storm are always in the game. Chad Foreman says, Puppy going to give the tee back to Meany, I see. That was just baffling how that just happened. Absolutely baffling. Oh, George has made the mistake of putting two S's. Another penalty in the game. Another penalty to the Eels. That's a high tackle against Munster. Again, that's two high tackles against Munster. 20 minutes in, 20 minutes to go the first half. Hit that like button and subscribe if you're new, Andy. Dom Finlayson says that conversion made Taxman look good. No. Taxman still doesn't look good. No. Let's not be silly. Let's not get rash now. Let's not get rash. He's actually learning from him. Mitchell said give Munster the kicking back. You know, there's a serious problem in life when you are suggesting Cameron Munster, one of the worst conversion takers of all time, to take the conversion race. All right, Will Penasini here. First tackle, 42 metres out. The Eels haven't shown a great deal of attack. They've been in attacking opportunities, but they have not really shown a great deal of attack so far. Second tackle here at the 35. Canberra says that might be worse than Foz kicking the conversion under the post. Okay, well, no, that was directly in front of the black dot, and he kicked it underneath, so that's a bit different. That was pretty close as well. So that gives it. They give it off to Russell, and Russell is 15 metres out, fourth tackle. David says, need me to take the kicks again. I reckon give it to Junior Bolo. Give Junior Bolo the conversion. Mitchell Moses at the 20. He's going to kick this ball through. That's going to be actually sitting up perfectly, but Pappenhausen will just get out of the in goal. If you drag him back there, Lomax, you're him up it. You're lucky. First tackle now at the 2. And they're lucky not to give away a penalty there too. Lagan says, give Cammy Kamith the key to the kick and tee. That's what I'm thinking. I think that's the best case scenario now. Jared Farmer says, that image of Munster missing a conversion and put his hands on his hips is instilled in my brain as they were beating the Cows by 40. Munster is, I would say, on a consistency level, the worst conversion kicker I've ever seen in my life. And that's not even joking. I'm not taking the piss. I reckon he would actually put his hands up and admit that. I 100% think he would admit that, because when he was taking over the kicking duties for, I think it was a period of 2023 maybe. It might have been 2022, but 2022 or 2023, he took over the kicking duties for a little bit due to injuries, and never again. Just simply never, never again. Eels now first tackle at the 38. There was a really good defensive set from the Eels that kept the Storm inside their own 20. And now Russell, he'll get this ball. Second tackle to the 48. Cape Races Bulldogs, Foz, those who doesn't count, right? That never happened. No, it counted for the Bulldogs, but that doesn't get included with the Titans. No, it counted for the Dogs for sure. Yeah, there were some great days for the Canterbury Bulldogs. Well, he's dropped the ball there, referee. Lomax just dropped the ball and said, no, come and play the ball again. Well, that's inconsistent based on what you've been ruling recently. I think Origin, there was one that went against what you just did. Forward tackle now at the 38. Walker off to Dean Hawkins, and the Eels will be 25 metres out through Jack Williams. Fifth tackle. Riley Smith off to Dean Hawkins. They go short side here, kick it through, and that's going to set up perfectly for Pappenhausen. He might be away here. No. He does get taken down by Dean Hawkins at the 13. There was a potential of a breakaway there, though. Brenton says that kick wasn't as bad as Tanner missing. Well, there's a knock on there from the Storm, and it's going to be Eels attack 15 metres out. The issue with your statement there, Brenton, is that, one, there's actually multiple issues here which you need to really sort out. One, that's not how you spell Tanner, but also secondly, and most importantly, he does not miss. It's not possible. It really just simply isn't. But yeah, that is just a lost ball there from Pappenhausen, and the Eels are going to go back on the attack 15 metres out. Williams has come on para. Well, here's a great opportunity for him. Jared Money says, oh yeah, Munster on his potty has talked about his bad conversion rate. Gotta love someone who can take the piss out of themselves. Yeah, no, that podcast is good. I don't have the time to necessarily watch it, but I do see the clips of it, and it is always great. I can understand why people would really enjoy that podcast, because it is, great players for a great team that do provide their analysis and have a bit of a laugh and talk shit. No, it's good. So the Eels now are 13 metres out from the line. Also know how you spell Tanner's name, Knights for Life. There's two people have tried to spell his name correctly, and both of you have got it wrong. Second tackle, well done, Larkin, for correctly getting his name right. Tanah. Eels now 3 metres out from the line. Third tackle, 24 minutes in. 3 metres out, Riley Smith. He'll get it across to Mitchell Moses at the 13. Out the back here, Dean Hawkins. Hawkins then off to Papali'i. Here, they should score. Adokar, I think he scored. Yes, he has. Josh Adokar, the Fox, has scored on the wing. And it's 4-4 here with a kick to come. 15 minutes to go in the first half. Try time there for the Eels. They have a chance to take the lead. Here, the old Parramatta. Have a chance to take the lead. The losses that hurt the most are the ones where if you kicked all your goals, your team would win. Yeah, just ask a Rabbitohs fan, or even ask the Warriors fans of recent years. Rabbitohs and Warriors can definitely handshake and say that they... Oh, does his left knee stay in? I think so. There's a potential that he goes out here. Oh, no, he does stay in. Yeah. He kept his left foot up from going down. If his left foot didn't hang up in the air, then he would have been out. But obviously he keeps it in. And it is a try, and it's 4-4 with a kick to come. Another one from my multi. Well, tell us what your multi is at this point, Brock. You just keep you're teasing us. You say you got Elias Katoa. You say you got Adokar. What's your multi? What's the multi? Nice for us. Which conversion is Brenton talking about? He's talking shit. That's what he's doing. That's what Brenton Eslick's doing. That's what Brenton Eslick. He's famous for it. He is extremely famous. Extremely famous for talking shit, actually. Brenton says there are a lot of birds in Melbourne. That's why Meany missing kicks. I know it's in Combank at the moment. No. I saw him miss the kick, and Meany isn't also kicking tonight. So you've made a bit of a see. There you go. He's talking shit. He's famous for it. Knights for Life. This is a man who supports the same team as you. You need to help this man. You need to help him. We can only do so much. I can only tell him so much. He doesn't listen to me, so maybe he listen to you. So Taxman here from the wing. Last week versus the Broncos, he was 3 from 5, 60% conversion rate. And now Zach the Taxman will... He's missed. He's hit the post. We've seen 2 kicks here today, and we've seen the post hit 3 times. Let that sink in. We have seen 3 post hits tonight off of 2 conversions. 3 off of 2 conversions. Both teams missed their conversions. Both teams. Brenton says, there are lots of birds in Melbourne. I've already read that stupid comment. John Teeper says, up the Eels. Not sure about the comma there. Not sure about not the comma, the apostrophe. Not sure about the apostrophe there, but the Eels, they get that try. Scored the 3rd most tries for the Storm with 96. Josh Adokar did. You do actually forget about it. Like, the Storm days was when he was at his prime. That was his best days. But you sometimes do kind of forget about his Storm days because of when he was at the Dogs, and now he's obviously at the Eels, and he's had a tumultuous time in between. But Addo-Carr at the Storm, mate, he was the best winger in the game at one point. Benny West says Eric Growth was Eels' best winger. Are you saying junior or senior? I'm assuming you're saying senior, and I'm going to throw a bit of a spanner in the works here, and I'm going to say that a player, if he actually played rugby league for his career, would have been one of the best wingers of all time in the game, but also would have been the Eels' clear best winger, and that was Semi Radradra. I actually think that Semi Radradra would have been the best winger in Parramatta Eels history, and potentially, if not top 3 wingers ever to play the game, if he had have continued to play rugby league. But obviously he moved across to rugby union. So a little bit of a spanner in the works there. But the Eels will keep this ball away from the 40, and it will come down to Xavier Coates at the 5, brings it out to the 15, to the 20, and that's going to be first tackle. Solo says Brocky cash out. How about $13? Now, what is your actual bet is what I'm asking. Like, who have you got to score here tonight? Who have you got to score? Cash out. No, okay, no. There's been multiple timeouts now, and I'm scared to read what's actually happened. Jay just said, nah, I'm not having it. 4 tackle here at the 35. Oh, no, Wesley, cardinal sin, mate. You said Storm with 2 S's. One day, there'll be a glorious moment in history where people will recognise that there is only one S in Storm. There is only one individual S in Storm. There is no plural. No, it's just the one S, Storm. Huh? You know what I'm saying? I don't think I'm speaking in gibberish. I'm not speaking in Hebrew here. I am speaking in the Old English. So, Eels now, second tackle. They'll be the 25 through Taxman. Jared Farmoni says, I didn't know they changed the rules where you had to hit the post for conversions. Yeah, they're trying to take a leaf out of the AFL's book. Third tackle now at the 35. By the way, that's St Kilda comeback against the Melbourne Demons last week. Wowee. 46 points in the last quarter is actually insane. 46-point comeback in the fourth quarter of the game. For NRL purposes, Eels here, Sean Russell beat the 40 on a fit tackle, Storm side of the field. For context and to compare the two, coming back from 46 points in the last quarter of an AFL game is like coming back from 24, 26 points in the NRL with like 15 minutes, 20 minutes to go. Or we'll go 20 minutes because that'd be the last quarter of an NRL game. It's like scoring 4 or 5 tries in the last 20 minutes to come back and win. Third tackle out to 45. And if anyone makes the joke they're thinking about right now, which I know you're thinking about, don't make it. You're getting timed out if you refer to that. So it's going to be the Storm on 4 tackle. They will get this ball to the halfway point. Brent says, should have got timed out just for the name Wesley. Okay, well now Wesley's just getting slapped for having a name, you know? Deary me. Brocky says, I've got Addo-Carr, Katoa so far. Now I only need Meaney and Storm to win. I can definitely see that happening. And Eels now will get the ball at the 10 through Papali. And Papali gets it out to the 20 on first tackle. Paul says, St Kilda vs Melbourne AFL. I saw that St Kilda were $40 odds at one point. Again, they were down by 46 points at three-quarter time. Second tackle now for the Eels at the 25. 30 minutes to go on here. 10 minutes to go of the first half. Still a tie game at 4-4. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. And it's a penalty to the Eels. Storm have given away. That's another penalty against Munster. That's like 4 penalties against Munster himself. How many penalties have given away? They've given away 5 now. I'm pretty certain 4 of them have come from Cameron Munster. I'm pretty certain. At very least 3. Because he had the 2 high tackles and then that one then. At very least 3. He could have 4 to his name already. Jared Ford says, Fufu and Moi Moi didn't care. Sure, don't know the relevance though. We were talking about wingers. I don't know what conversation you're having, but... Where did Fufu and Moi Moi come into this? Second tackle now for the Eels, and they'll be at the 30. Junipolo. Dom says, Giants had a comeback. They were down 50-15 and won 102-58. Yeah, but they're not the Gold Coast Suns, are they? Slapping Brisbane. And the Eels nearly get the offload away. Oh, he's lost the ball. There's an offload, but it's gone forward. How about that? The Eels have offloaded the ball. So the Storm are giving away a ridiculous amount of penalties in this game, but the Eels are making a lot of mistakes when they're in the great area. That will be their 4th error of the game, which isn't dreadful. Oh, well, there's a penalty to the Storm. This game has been very stop-start in a lot of ways. Very, very stop-start. So many penalties, dude. So many penalties. Munster's got the Storm 1-12. Yeah, likely at this point. The Storm definitely are missing Jerome Hughes, though. You can really tell they're missing him on the attack. By the way, this is a pathetic crowd. If you actually look at the seats, please know, CommBank is a stadium that was designed intentionally for you not to necessarily notice how many empty seats there are. There is a lot of empty seats this game. All right, so wish to Kami Kamitha, and Kami Kamitha will get this ball here to the 47 on second tackle. Johnson Solomon get around the Eels. I missed the Chucks headband. Well, it's somewhere around. Somewhere around here. I'm in a new place. I've got to take all my shit out and put it somewhere. Third tackle down to Munster. No, it's going to be a set restart. 6 again now for the Storm. And Elias Katoa is going to be third. Oh, no. He's lost the ball. Oh, my gosh. This game, lads. This game. It's close. The quality is not there, though. Penalty after penalty after penalty. Error after error after error. And the Eels are going to be 40 metres out from their own line on first tackle now. Oh, now we've seen an Eels knock on. Oh, my gosh. Storm ball at the 40. We have seen... I was complaining about the amount of errors and penalties, and then we got another error immediately after we saw an error. Jeez. And Brenton says, oh my gosh, the fumbles. The funny thing is that he said that before the Eels then proceeded to knock the ball on again. Jack Williams just drops his lollies. Oh my gosh, the lollies are everywhere. He's gone to the cinemas. He's got one of those plastic bags. He's filled up the plastic bag, and there was a hole in it, and it just kept coming out. He's dropped them everywhere. He's dropped them so far. Tom says Titans put 50 on these scopes. They do it against both these teams at the same time. Oh, that's a high tackle. Oh my gosh. 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 It's a high tackle penalty to the Storm. After Pappenhausen's effort before, please don't take the 2. They probably should, though. They're 35 metres out, basically in front. Like, they probably should. But after what we saw from Pappenhausen before, I really don't know if they should be taking the 2. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to go with the sideline. They're going to go for the try. Jared Foreman says, you get an error, and you get an error, and you get an error. Jared, that's wrong. That's wrong. You get an error, and you get a penalty, and then you get a penalty, but then you get an error for their penalty, and then because their error, they're going to get an error as well. So everyone's getting penalties and errors. And 6 again for the Storm. They're 15 metres out here from the line. First tackle, Tui Kamikamica with the ball. Knights for License Knights put a minus 50 on them. Yeah, valid. I thought you were about to say on the Titans, and I was like, well, we beat you twice this year. Second tackle now at the 11. We don't win against teams much. Unless they're named the New Zealand Warriors or apparently the Newcastle Knights. Third tackle. But don't you forget us, Roosters and Manly fans. So third tackle, 7 metres out here for the Storm. Off to Wishart. Wishart off to Harry Grant. Harry Grant, slow play, then gets it off to Munster. Munster with a little bit of a step, and he'll be in just at the 10 metres, 4th tackle. 6 minutes to go in the first half. Harry Grant, he's going to go for a... No, he doesn't go for a scoop. Right underneath the Tui Kamikamica, son. A bit of toss of 50 fit. Jeez. Slap. Try top of the Storm. Tui Kamikamica goes bang, son. He goes bang. Welcome to Fiji. Welcome to Fiji, son. Bula Malaya. Welcome to Fiji. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. In Fiji, son. Tui Kamikamica untouched over the line. Great defense, Eels. Great defense. Eels literally untouched over the line. Underneath the post. If you are untouched underneath the post, there is a dramatic problem for the opposition team. How can you go... Oh, he did the Angona celebration. He got drinking the kava. Get around Tui. He was a flying Fijian then. He was flying, son. But he went through untouched, which tells you more about the Eels defense than anything. Went through completely untouched. Brocky says, feels like we're watching under 16s play. Well, with that defense, I'm not going to disagree with you. A prop has just gone through untouched under the post. Yeah, now the commentary's clicked onto what I'm saying. Now the commentary's talking about the same thing. Try time bing bong mudda bish. Jared's stealing your thunder there, Brocky. He's stealing it. He's stealing it. Benny says, get the umbrellas ready. The Storm is brewing. The Storm have been dreadful so far today, but they're just very lucky that both teams here have been quite poor. Nice fly, son. Unlike other teams, I always fear facing Melbourne after they are coming off a loss rather than after coming off a win. I should correct you. You should always be fearful of playing Melbourne, whether they're coming off a loss, coming off a win, or coming off getting kicked out of the comp, or coming off being called cheated. It's like, doesn't matter what they are, you should always be concerned playing the Melbourne Storm. Lagan says this is a 2015-2017 Knights level game. No, it's not. No, if you watch those years, you know there was no, that was bad. That was the worst team I've ever witnessed in my life play, and I've watched the Tigers the last 3 years. I still have that Knights team worse. No, that was next level. This has been poor, but that was next level. Tuikami Kamitha, he'll get this ball to the 20. It'll be second tackle. Yeah, that's giving us credit. It really is, Renton. It really is. All right, third tackle now for the Storm, and they're going to get this ball here to the 30. Just emphasising Bellamy's fearsome reputation. He does have a fearsome reputation, but we speak about the same thing every single week, and they keep coming up with these same results here, Melbourne. So Munster, a 40-20 attempt. It's a good kick, but Papali will get it at the 18, and he'll bring it to the 25 on first tackle. About 4 minutes to go now in the first half. 4 minutes to go. Storm is brewing. I don't know how much of a storm is brewing here, Benny. But I think, was it this year or was it last year where, it might have been the first, it might have been round one last year where these two teams played and the Storm absolutely slaughtered them in the first half, or second half, was it? Round one, it might have been this year. No, because last year was Storm Panthers. Round 1, 2025, I think it might have been this year. Yeah, 56-18, that's right. Oh, Eels are away here. Josh had a car at the 40, the 35, the 30, the 25. He'll be taken down, fit tackle. Great run here. Let's watch this, and then I'll go back and talk about that. So go out to the right-hand side to Dean Hawkins. Dean Hawkins with an awful kick. It's going to be a 7-tackle set there for the Storm. That was just dreadful. Earlier this year, it was round 1 this year, the Storm scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tries in the first half. I think it was like 48-0 or something at halftime, wasn't it? I think that might have been the actual scoreline. I think it might have been 46 or 48-0 at halftime. All right, second tackle now for Melbourne, and they'll be at the halfway point. Nearly a high tackle there. Round 1 this year, Storm were up by 44 in the first half against the Eels. There you go. Close enough. 44-0. That's ridiculous. Harry Grant, that should be 6 again. That should have been a 6 again. They were both not square there, but sure. 4th tackle now, 33 metres out here for the Storm. And Munster off to Tyrone Wishart. Wishart underneath. And they'll be taken down here at 25. Nothing really going on there at all. The Eels are mucking around to play the ball, man. I can't believe they're not getting penalised or 6 again. And knock on there from the Eels. That's going to be a knock on from the Storm as well. But first knock on will come from Parramatta. So the Storm are going to get an attacking opportunity. 1 minute 40 to go. 10 minutes out for the line. 46-6 at half time. They're going to challenge this here, the Eels. I feel like this probably is a valid challenge. I don't know if it's... I think it was a knock on. But I think at this point, if you're tentative about it, this is a pretty big, crucial play here. So I thought the Eels knocked this ball on live. I think that Coates has knocked that back and Lomax has touched it, which is then going to be a knock on. Because Xavier Coates definitely doesn't knock it on. I think that he's touched that with his right hand. Yeah, but I think Lomax's right hand, his fingers will touch it. Because his hand's right there. Yeah, he's touched it with his right fingers. Yeah, he has. This will be a knock-on from Lomax. Oh, I'd say Lomax has touched that ball. Yeah, right hand of Zach Lomax. So it is going to be a knock-on here from the Eels, and they will lose their challenge. They will lose their challenge. Milton says 12-4 half-time. Maybe, if they get a penalty, but they're going to be looking for a try here, the Melbourne Storm. Chad says 8 tries in the first half was insane to watch. Yeah, it was crazy. All right, so lost challenge there for the Eels at a pretty crucial time, but I do think it was a worthwhile challenge. It's unfortunate that they lost it. Storm 10 metres out. How did Craig Bellamy as head coach and Wayne Bennett as assistant coach go? Awful, because they'd both want to be leading it, and they both deserve to be leading it. So the Storm now will be 10 metres out from the line. You can't have an assistant coach who is a head coach. It's not possible. Makes no sense. Harry Grant off to Wishart, and Wishart then to... who's number 17 here for the Storm? I can't think of his name right now. I'm mind blanking. Joe Chan. So Storm now to Ikami Kamitha. He's 5 metres out from the line. Third tackle. There's a massive set here. This could be a blowout in the second half if the Storm find a way to score here. Because I don't think the Eels would feel like they deserve to be down by as much as they are. And Munster off to Josh King. And Josh King's 4 metres out, 4th tackle. 54 seconds to go now of the first half. Harry Grant fakes it. Then he gives it off to the left to Munster. Munster kicks it through. He sits up. No, it doesn't sit up. It's going to be a dropout. And there will be a couple of seconds. I'd honestly go for a field goal off of the dropout. Just have Pappenhausen waiting for it. The Eels actually might be tentative about taking a big, long dropout here. I'd try and go for a 20 to 30 metre dropout, because if they kick it to the 40, Pappenhausen could potentially go for a 2-point field goal, which I think he has it in him. He does have it in him. And if they do it short, they have to rush up quite fast to get a block on the field goal as well. So they're going to be very careful about where they drop this ball out here if they are considering the field goal, Melbourne. So Moses will kick it to about the 40. That's great. That's going to work out perfectly for him. That goes all the way back here to the 35, and now they don't have an opportunity to do anything with it. Pappenhausen kicks his ball over the top here for himself. You can argue a penalty. Yep, they're going to call a penalty. I'd take a kick from halfway. You'd take a kick from halfway here if you're Melbourne, or you kick this to about the 20 to 30, and then you set up for a field goal. And they can't challenge it here, the Eels. It's actually back in Australia. No, I'm in Vietnam, bro. I'm in Ho Chi Minh. Le Ho Chi Minh. Yeah, they do really block off his run there. So it's going to be literally at the 50. I think this might... I don't know if they've got the kick in them here, but they might just go... They should just probably go for the 2, but you could set up for an easy field goal. Oh, they're 40 metres out. Did they get marched? I think that... Oh, no, because he's been... They're saying where the ball's landed. All right, so this is going to be a penalty from 40 metres out now. Well, now you just hit the 2. So the Storm play did that. It's definitely not a penalty. I think that was a penalty. The Eels did really block off that run. They had plenty of time to get out of the way of it. He's kicked the ball over the top for himself. He knew what he was doing, and they've really kind of blocked it off. So I do think this is a fair penalty. Solis, is you in Vietnam? Yeah, man. Yeah, no, I've been Vietnam for the last month. I was in Thailand for 2.5 months. I was in India for 2 months or so, 2.5 months. We were in America earlier this year, Hong Kong for Hong Kong was for a night. And obviously, we're living in Fiji at the beginning of the year with my mum and whatnot. So, no, I'm just travelling, man. I'm just living life, Barry. Living life. And Pappenhausen's going to miss the kick. Geez, the conversion kick and the penalties and conversion kicking rate today has been awful from these teams. But it is 10-4 to Melbourne. They missed the kick, and it will stay a 6-point game here at half time. Yeah, both teams haven't been goody. Like, it just hasn't been a great game for both these teams, and that's why it's so close. I do think that, like, a one-score game is... but the Storm, this is, again, these stats are always a guide. Don't take them as gospel, but take them as a guide, and then you have an understanding of how the game is. So Storm are at 60% possession at half time. A lot more than the Eels. 60-40. That is a big-time split. Time of possession is 11 minutes and 2 seconds for the Eels, 16 minutes and 51 seconds for the Storm, which is showing you the Storm aren't playing that great. They've got a mountain of ball, and you look at their completion rate, anything above 80% is very good. They're at 88% at 23 from 26, which is extremely solid. Extremely solid there. Not quite at the 90%, but only 3 errors there with 26 sets is very solid for the Storm. And then the Eels, they're at 78%, so they're just under the mark at 15 from 19. A similar amount of errors, the 4 errors there on their completed sets, but just under the mark of 80% that you'd be looking for. The attack, all runs, 97 runs for the Storm to 66 for the Parramatta Eels. The run miss for the Storm is 847. The run miss for the Eels is 582. So they are a little bit to go by what you're saying, Lagan, last week, to go via that and say, like, they're not quite reaching the average of 10 metres per run to get to the 660, which is what you would be looking at there. They're at 582. But for the basic metric, 98 to 66 is a 32 run gap. If you give the Eels that 10 metres on average that you're looking for per run, then you would be at 320 metres, which goes to 682, 782, 882. It is just around that 900 mark. So they are a little bit better than the Storm with the ball in hand, but again, that is off a basic metric to go via the point that was made last week on the streams. But the Storm are still significantly in advantage there of 867 to 582. Which is a decent enough gap. Post-contact meters is 345 to the Storm, 210 to the Eels. Difficult metric to read, but that is a very significant stat there for the Storm regardless. I know it's now 34 runs different of 100 to 66, but that is still pretty well an advantage of the Storm, you would assume. Line breaks is 2-1 to the Eels. Tackle breaks is 22-11 to the Storms. The Eels are missing a lot of tackles here. The average set distance, anything under 25 metres on an average set, you turn the stream off, it's pathetic. 25 to 30 is, you wouldn't have expected it, disgusting. 30 to 35 is very underwhelming. 35 to 40 is average, what you would expect. 40 to 45 is great. 45 to 50 is fantastic, and 50 plus is incredible. It's perfect. The Parramatta Eels are at 30.96, so that is extremely low on the underwhelming category. They are not hitting anywhere near the mark for an average set of at least 35, and that's still at an average rate. They're at 30.96, so they're getting close to the you wouldn't even split it category. They're not making a great deal of meters. Whilst the Storm, they're at 34.05. Which is still in the underwhelming category as well. They're not hitting the mark of the 35, but they are at the upper end of that underwhelming area. That's not to give them a positive, it just is at the upper end of the underwhelming category. And then you go to the average play the ball speed, 3.51 seconds there for the Eels, and 3.38 seconds for the Storm. So the Storm are on the kind of average area. Both teams are. 3.51 seconds and 3.38 seconds isn't too red hot fast. The Storm are getting towards the faster end for sure, but it's not red hot fast. And the Eels, although they're getting towards the slower end, it's still pretty bare basic average for an average play the ball speed. The offloads is 4-0 to the Storm. Eels not offloading the ball much today, and for the last 5 years they have well and truly been known as an offloading team. So it's interesting to see the Eels are going away from that thought process as a collective, but the Storm with the 4 offloads, which isn't anything dramatic themselves. Then you go to the forced dropouts. There's 3 forced dropouts to the Storm, 0 to the Eels. The Eels are putting the ball into a good area to get a repeat set. Kick defusal is 33% for the Eels, 100% for the Storm. And then you go down to the effective tackle percentage here, and here's a big key telling point as to why the Storm are edging this one out. So 88% is the bare basic marker. 88% to 90% is where you need to be at least achieving. 90% and above is incredible. 85 to 88% is underwhelming, and then anything under 85%, you don't even want to talk about it. The Eels are at 87.95%, so they are literally 0.05% away from having just a solid regular collective effective tackle percentage on the defense. So 87.95% is nothing to scoff at, but it's still just under the mark. It's literally like 1 tackle made away from going above it. They're 219 tackles made for 22 missed tackles and 8 ineffective, so 30 bad tackles there in the first half. It's not great. It's not spectacular, but it's also not awful, and that's why you've got the 87.95%. You don't want to be missing those 22. The ineffectives at 8 isn't actually that bad. Some have 1, but the ineffective tackles of 8 is not actually that bad there for the Eels. But the 22 bad tackles is really getting up there. 15, 16 is pretty much what you see most teams average out at a half time. They're at 22, so it's 7, 6 more than what you would normally be saying. But again, the ineffectives are actually pretty limited. And then you've got the Storm at 92.5%, so that's a very good effective tackle percentage. They're at 148 tackles made for only 11 missed tackles and 1 ineffective. Now, they are 70 or so tackles behind the Eels here, but they have halved the missed tackles. So it's relatively it's relative in a way. It's not too far off. If they had the same amount of tackles, you'd probably be expecting the Storm to be at an average of 15, 16, maybe even 17 if they had the same amount of possession against them that they've got over the Eels. But it's the 1 ineffective tackle that is really bringing up that number there for the Storm. They've limited that dramatically. 12 bad tackles for the Storm compared to 30 bad tackles for the Eels in the first half, and that is why it's a decent gap of that 92.5% to the 87.95%. And then go to the negative play. A big key telling point again. 6 errors to the Eels, 3 errors to the Storm. That is around the average mark for the Eels, but the key telling point here is the Storm are only at 3, which is a very good error count at halftime. Obviously, no errors are good, but 3 errors is anything under 5, anything 4 and below. I'd say 5 is on that average category. Anything 4 and below on an error count at a half is very good. So 3 for the Storm is good, whilst the Eels are at that average area. But the penalties conceded in this game is ludicrous. 5 penalties against the Storm and 4 penalties against the Eels in one half is just stupid. Like, that's just stupid. We've seen 9 penalties in the first half. That is a stupid penalty count. And look, the penalties have been justified. It's not like the referees are making bad calls. The penalties absolutely have been justified. So 9 penalties has been showing that both these teams have been super ill to this point in this game. The ruck infringements is 2-0 against the Eels and 1-0 for inside 10 metres against the Eels. So at least the Storm are limiting ruck infringements and inside 10. But look, overall, the penalties are just stupid from both these teams. Eels are at an average error count and Storm are limiting the errors. So look, you quickly have a scan of the stats. Defensively, the Storm have been better. They're making less errors, same amount of penalties. Play the ball speed isn't too dramatically different. Storm are getting offloads away. The meters is well in advantage of the Storm, but they've had a lot more ball here. And with the average metric, you'd probably put the Eels just above the Storm. And then you've got the completion rate, 88%. The Storm are beating them in that department too. So, look, I think with a 60% possession for Melbourne, they should be doing a lot better than what they're doing. They've only got 10 points. Yeah, they're missing Jerome Hughes, and sure, you could argue Trent Loiero as well, but they should be doing a lot better here against a lowly ranked team, especially when that lowly ranked team is performing poorly. The Eels have not been great tonight by any stretch of the imagination. They have been quite poor. So to only be up by 6 points, yes, you've missed a very easy conversion. It should be 12-4 because they missed a very easy conversion where they hit both posts, and then they also missed the penalty from in front 40 metres out just now. It could have easily been 14-4, but I think that based off of how we've seen this game, this scoreline's pretty justified. If the Eels can even out that possession, they probably go on to win this game. If the Eels can get this to like a 53%, 47% in Storm favour, so take off a 7% and shave that from the Storm and give it to themselves, they probably go on to win this game because the Storm haven't gone and dominated where they've needed to, considering this scoreline. But I will still tip the Storm to win this game. I think it'll probably come down to maybe about a 55, 56%. Whilst the Eels have a 44, 45%, and I don't think that's enough possession for the Eels to probably get over the line. But we'll see. I tip the Storm 13+. They've disappointed greatly, but they are leading 10-4. Skokel says, "We ready for the upset of the season on Saturday?" Oh, really? Is that the wavelength you're on now, Skunkle? Oh, upset of the season. Panthers going to beat the Titans, are they? Wow, so you jump on the Panthers bandwagon. Because I don't know if you've realised this, Mr. Skunkle. Here's a bit of an issue here. Is that how is a team in first position, the underdogs? How is that an upset? You know, Skunkle, you need to have a word to yourself. You need to look at this ladder and you need to rectify how your brain's thinking. Because how is the team on top of the ladder undefeated right now? How are they going to get an upset? So you're telling me the Panthers are going to win? You're a silly man, Skunkle. Knights for Life says, "Just want to say, BK, you're my favourite commentator. You're so much fun to watch and talk to." I appreciate you, man. I appreciate that. Obviously, we do our best here, and you guys aren't always going to necessarily agree with me. But at the end of the day, the whole point is to get the conversation going and to talk and just have a bit of a laugh and a bit of banter and listen to Brett Neslick talk shit alongside his boyfriend, Skunkle. Ibrahim says, "Brenton, what do you mean he doesn't miss? Who doesn't miss? Tanner? Tanner never misses. He did Tanner daring me. Well, Tanner doesn't miss, mate. So exactly right. You know, Ibrahim this is what I mean with Brenton. He doesn't get it. No, Brenton. No, we saw Pappenhausen miss it. No, there was no bird. No, this isn't an Amy. There's no seagulls around, mate. No, we watched him miss it. But they cancelled the kick last week at the Warriors game. But anyway, so if both teams play the same in the second, the score will be 20-8 Storm. That's very. Well, no, that's not really how it works. I get what you're saying. You're literally just doubling both teams' scores here, which isn't exactly fantastic insight, Benny. That's just that's literally just doubling both teams' score. That's a very rocket science statement. No, like it could easily both teams could play the same, and we could see a much higher scoring, or we could see a no scoring. Like, sure, that could happen, but that's not really kind of how I know what you're trying to say. It's just a very bare basic kind of statement. Bucks says, please beat the Storm Eels. No. Solid says, I heard Australia some banh mi. Banh mi is better than Vietnam. I love a good banh mi here. Banh mi's are good. Like, they are really good. I love like the spicy noodles and stuff like that, which is very similar to Thailand in a lot of ways. But the food here is amazing, dude. The food here is amazing. You guys will hate to hear, though, that today I did have McDonald's. But that's because, here's a fun fact for you. McDonald's isn't a big thing in Vietnam. So in Vung Tau, there was none. No McDonald's whatsoever. And I don't really eat a great deal of McDonald's anymore. But I just wanted a bit of Western food because I come back to the big city and I felt like having some Western food, which you do need when you come to other countries. So I had some Maccas today, but there's like only 2 McDonald's in the entire city of Ho Chi Minh, which is a big time city. It's one of their main cities. And for people who don't know, Saigon is what this used to be called. Now it's Ho Chi Minh. So yeah, McDonald's is a huge thing here. Everywhere else in the world, they love it. But because you've got beautiful banh mi's that are getting made, there's no point to having a McDonald's. And his own guy says Storm should own this as a top 4. Yeah, they're missing Jerome Hughes, but yes, they should be doing a lot better than what they're doing. And say, guys, is fraud alert for the Storm? No, because they're not losing the game. But if they lost this game, then yes, they would go on fraud alert. And if they go on fraud alert, then we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in the top 10 on fraud alert. And that is scary stuff. And that is scary stuff because that's showing that the competition might be lacking a little bit. Might be lacking a tiny little bit in the quality department if we're seeing 6 teams in the top 10 on fraud alert. And it's like the Sharks this week, they play the Cowboys. It's like if they win, it's against the Cowboys, but should they come off fraud alert? I don't think so. It depends on how they play. If they won by like 50, then sure. The Broncos, they play the Rabbitohs. You ain't coming off fraud jack. Nothing this week. Warriors, if you beat the Dolphins, you might come off it. But I still feel like we've got to keep you on it for the time being. We'll see. Manly, you ain't coming off nothing. And the Roosters, you're definitely not coming off anything. Panthers, when they lose the Titans, they go on fraud alert, even though the Titans are the greatest team that ever existed, clearly, on the top of the table. No Maccas is sacrilege. Well, no, it's because the banh mi's are so beautiful over here, mate. They're so beautiful. Banh mi's unbelievable. Banh mi. The banh mi over here is just spectacular, son. Spectacular. All right, well, Storm around the field. The Eels are coming out for the second half. You better damn well hit that thumbs up button right now. Your team's going to lose this weekend. I'm putting a mocker on you. I'm putting a curse on you. You know what? I'll go and click like on my own stream if I have to get that Titans win over the line. I'll do it, mate. You can't stop me. I'll go like my own video. Just like people on Instagram who go and like their own comments. Oh, to be fair, on YouTube, it's very different, but it's very funny when people like their own comments on Instagram. Like, that's the thing, Brenton. You come to Vietnam as an Aussie, you've got a McDonald's right there, and you've got a beautiful banh mi over there. Are you really coming to Vietnam and you're going to go walk and get it? By the way, they don't have quarter pounders, but you walk in, are you going to get a Big Mac? You're going to get a damn well Big Mac? You're going to choose to come to Vietnam. You fly all the way to Vietnam, and you choose the McDonald's with the Big Mac over the banh mi. That's not going to happen. It's just not happening. First day we're going to have the Storm, and if that is what you're doing, then please just stay in Australia. Defeats the purpose of travelling. So, first tackle of the Storm, and Twickham and Kamitha here, grabbing his shoulder. God bless him, I hope he's alright. They've had to stop the clock. It says, what's wrong with that? I like my own post too. Liking your own post, I don't really care for. I don't really mind. But if you're liking your own comment, that's a bit weird. You know, on Instagram, especially if you're in like a sledge, like if you're bantering someone, you're talking shit with someone, and you're having an argument, and then you like your own comment, that's weird. No, that's weird. Oh, it's a penalty here against the Eels. Oh, beautiful. We're back underway. 5 penalties apiece now in this game. And we've been here for 20 seconds in the second half, and we are just continuing on with the same shit. Another penalty. They've called, I think, a chicken wing here on Will Tennessee. I don't even know what they've called here. I think they've called a chicken wing. Bum me for sure, but having options is good. Well, there's so many options here. There is so many options. There's more options here than back home. And if you go to America, you've got a brilliant amount of options, but it's all just the same fatty fast food. So Munster now to Josh King, and Josh King is going to be at the 48 on second tackle. I have like a seat over there that I'm going to use tomorrow. I've been sitting on the bed here today, and it's just so uncomfortable. I definitely can't do 2 or 3 streams in a row like this. Gee whiz. I've got like a little office space over there. It'd be much better. 4 tackle. Yeah, liking your own posts, it's like, yeah, you're backing yourself, support yourself. But if you're in an argument on the Instagram comment section and you like your own comment, that's a strange thing to do. But it will rile up the other person. So if you want to rile them up, then go for it. Munster here kicks it through, little grubber, and Papali will bring it out to the 10 on first tackle. Nice as Brendan, we need every win in our favour and we need to win all games. I really damn well hope, I beg that you're not suggesting the Knights are a top 8 potential team. What has Brenton said for you to reply that? What? There's no way. Knights for life. There's no, I refuse. We need every win in our favour. Are you telling me, are you suggesting to me that the Knights are still a chance at the top 8? Please, I beg you. I'm not saying that. I beg. Eels now on fit tackle. They get this ball to the 45. This is why you're viewing who likes comments anyway. What are you, my mum? You my mum, mate? You my mum? Am I not allowed to view who likes comments? And sometimes you feel a bit shit. You're like, well, I'm arguing with this person and they got a like on their comment. I'm like, well, who's this dickhead liking his comment? Because it makes no sense that you're liking that. And then you go and click on it and you look at it and you're like, oh, it's the same dickhead liking his own comment. That's why you look at it. Because you're like, that's so confusing. Someone's agreeing with this person who's making no sense. And it's the same dickhead. That's the situation. So third tackle now for the Storm at the 30, which there might be. Well, then I'm going to remember that you're a Sharks fan because obviously Blitzy is an Eels fan. So you've just gone from the Tigers to the Sharks. That makes a lot more sense than the Sharks to the Eels. So at least there's that. Now the Storm will get this ball to the halfway point. Joe Chan, that should be 6 again. Nope, apparently not. That should have been 6 again though. Next time is an 82nd. Oh, Wesley didn't learn from the first time. Wesley, you didn't learn from the first time, my friend. There's only one S in Storm. S-T-O-R-M. No S at the end. No plural. No plural. And sacrilege. Second tackle, and if you were missing the penalties, well, guess what? You've got another one because you don't have to miss them for too long. You do not have to miss them for too long because there's another penalty here to the Parramatta Eels. 6 penalties against the Storm, 5 penalties against the Eels. We are in a penalty-a-thon here today. Oh, he's saying to avoid the spoon, surely. I really hope he is. Mathematical chances. Nice for life. I'm gonna be brutal here with you. I'm gonna be honest here with you. And I'm gonna really tell you the truth here at a real strong level. The Knights are shit. So please don't put them in a category top 8. If you're talking about to avoid the spoon, I'm here for it because they do need to win a few games to avoid the spoon. But I beg that you readjust and realign your thought processes in regards to the Knights making the top 8, my man. So second tackle here for the Eels at the 15. Now third tackle 5 metres out from the line. I didn't wake up today thinking we'd have a Knights fan calculating their chances for the top 8. But here we are, full tackle here, 4 metres out. And now fit tackle, 2 metres out. Quick little play, didn't really go to plan. Eels have not really had a great deal of attack in the attacking 20 today. Yeah, they scored throughout a car before, but they haven't had a great deal of attack overall. Oh, but that's beautiful pass. Oh my gosh, have they scored? They did score. I thought he passed the ball, and then I thought there might have been a knock on. But no, in the end, they've actually scored here. There was a beautiful pass. Just as I was saying, the Eels' attack was awful. They go and scored on the right-hand sideline. That's actually a nice try. So you get, if you watch this, you know why I'm confused, because it looked like he was going to try and pass the ball out to the winger, which probably would have ended up being a Storm knock-on and the Eels getting a 6 again. But instead, he must have just held the ball here. You're going to have to look at it closer. And beautiful pass. Yeah, see what I mean? Like, maybe he did pass it and then it bounced back into him. I don't know. Maybe he does pass it and then it bounces off Xavier Coates into... I think that's... Yeah, it's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. He did actually pass that ball. It goes into Coates. It bounces back. And they score through Charlie Geimer. Does that touch the... Oh, does he actually score? I don't know if he actually got that ball down. I don't know where the ball is. I don't know if he actually gets this ball down. And also, did the ball hit the ground before he regathered it? This will be interesting. It's gone up as a try, so you have to convince otherwise, but this may not be a try. He didn't drop it to Coates, Brandy. He passed it into Coates, and then it bounced into him, and then we're just going to see if it touches the ground. But there's also no guarantee he actually puts the ball on the ground. I think... Jeez. I would love to see a bit more. Does he get... Yeah, he gets the ball down. Oh, no, maybe not. I thought the ball does touch... This is actually really close. This will show... I think they... I don't know... Oh, jeez, this is hard. They haven't confirmed the try yet. Yeah, I don't think... Yeah, I think the on-ground officials are just guessing at that. Their hands are underneath this. This is probably going to be a held-up no try. It's been confirmed. Well... Sure, like they're just basing that off of the on-field call, but the issue with the on-field call is they're guessing themselves. Charlie Geimer, JC Smoke, Charlie Geimer, that was just a guesswork. The on-field referees just guessed at that, and then the bunker has come in, and I believe they've just lent with the on-field decisions who guessed at it. Anyway. So Zach Lomax here to try and tie this game up at 10 apiece. And Taxman will miss the kick like he always does. That's my boy. That's my good little boy, Miss Kicker Man. The Miss Kick of Dreams. Zach the Taxman Lomax. He focuses too much on the taxes. Doesn't focus enough on his kicking game. And they miss the kick again. Buck says, not sure about that try. Can't see it touching the ground. I agree. I think that it was a complete guesswork from both. Like, you can't see it there. I don't think that touched the ground. I actually think that angle just then showed there was enough evidence to say that was held up. But anyway, it is 10-8. Bit of karma missing the kick, but then again, that's the usual with the old taxman. Brogan Sports says, try time, bing bong, mother, boosh. Jazz is more heart than some of us, to be fair. More heart? What do you mean? Jazz says, I thought you were going to leave it at Knights of shit. Well, there is that option to do that too. I can do that for you now if you'd like. So out of the right-hand side, and Taxman will get this ball to the 22, second tackle. Which says Taxman must be a Beatles fan. Big Beatles fan. Massive. How do they keep letting Lomax kick? What's his percentage this year? I feel like he's stinking it up. I think you're very heavily focused on, one, what you're watching in this game, and also, two, Origin. Whilst I understand that, like taking my outside of footy bias away from it, like he usually is a pretty good kicker, but just maybe recently, maybe since Origin, maybe he did lose a lot of confidence during Origin. Huggies, what's the upset of this round? I think there's a world where the Raiders are due a loss, where the Dragons could get a win, but I don't know if I'm going to have the balls to tip it, but I think there's an upset brewing at some point for the Raiders at the back end of this year. They are due a loss. I don't see the Titans beating the Panthers, but obviously my internal bias tells otherwise. Second tackle now for the Storm, and they'll be at the 28. I can't see the Rabbitohs beating the Broncos. I don't see the Cowboys beating the Sharks, but Sharks are also very average at the moment. Warriors over the Dolphins. Warriors tend to win against the grain and lose against the grain too. Like, if they're predicted to win, they will lose and lose well. Look at last week. If they're predicted to lose, they'll win the game, but they've got a few outs. I don't know. I'd probably say the most convincing upset I could see would probably be Dragons Raiders, but it shouldn't be happening. And there is a world the Tigers beat the Dogs. Dogs played really well last week, but I could see a world where the Tigers getting upset, not even necessarily because they're a decent team, just based on the fact that there's a rivalry there because of the Galvin situation. Eels will drop the ball out the back, and it's going to be second tackle now at the 20 for the Eels. Probably an amazing kick, tax man, just without the amazing part. Yeah, it was actually a kick, though. You are right. Yeah, there was no amazing part about it. Well, it did amaze me how bad it was. Mitchell Moses complaining as per usual. He loves a good complain. And they're going to give him a 2. You have called that extremely late, which tends to make me believe that you are not calling that on the merit of it being a penalty, but on the basis that there is a complaint from Mitchell Moses. Oh, stop it. I'm sorry, but no. I'm sorry, but that is not a penalty. That's not a penalty. No, it's not. He's got his arm there, so he's hitting the arm, and then Moses is bringing the arm down, and then the hand is going up from here and coming up. He's only called that on the basis of Moses complaining. That's a bullshit call from the referee. So first tackle now for the Eels, and they're 25 metres out from the Storm line. First tackle. 30 minutes to go here of the game. Hit that like button and subscribe. Junior Bolo is at the 15. Lagan says Melbourne playing pretty good, I see. Melbourne not playing pretty good by any means. Neither team really is, but the Eels have been the better team in the second half so far. Third tackle. I disagree with that penalty call, absolutely, though. And they'll go out to Junior Polo, and he'll give that ball straight to the Storm, and that right there summarises the game. A penalty into an Eels knock-on. A penalty for the Eels into an Eels knock-on. That is exactly how this game has been so far. Second tackle for the Storm at the 20. And Pappenhausen, he'll bring it to the 30 on third tackle. Paul says, what would you say is the safest team to bet on? Bet on penalties in this game, because there's another penalty here for the Storm. Just a ridiculous amount of penalty. Well done, Wesley! Sorry, Paul, I'll get back to you in a second. Wesley has learnt Storm for 1 at 12. All right, I back it now, Wesley. He's learnt, Daz, mate, you and the moderators who timed him out. He has learnt not to put the extra S on. So Wesley is able to stick around. But Paul, safest team to bet on this year is, honestly, I will say nobody. Like this week, the safest game to bet on would have to be... You'd have to assume it's Panthers over the Titans, regardless of what the Titans did last week. You really would have to. Like, I hate to say it, but it has to be the Panthers over the Titans. And there's a one-on-one strip there from the Eels, and Walker's going to get the ball here at the 30. People in the chat, comment what your safest prediction of the round is. Try not to be, don't be biased too. Like, give us your actual, genuine, safest tip of the round. It would have to be Panthers over Titans, surely. Or Broncos over Rabbitohs. If Broncos, you lose that, I'm removing you from the table. I'm not even putting you on scam. You're going fast track from fraud alert to off the table. I'm actually taking you off it. You shouldn't be losing that game. Third tackle here for the Eels. That'll be 48. Skugger says, time that anyway. No way. We don't do that to Wesley. No way. Fourth tackle here for the Eels, the 45. Wesley's a cold hero. And the Eels now beat the 35 on fifth tackle. Paul says, one big betting on Storm against the Roosters, but kind of just took a shot in the dark there. Well, that was a close game, but I can understand why you bet big on the Storm. I wouldn't have said that was a guarantee game, though. Oh, that's a 1-1 strip, but it'll be a knock-on from the Eels. Yeah, so it's going to be Storm ball at the 10. It actually worked out better for the but for the Storm that Zach the Taxman Lomax was focused on getting the ball rather than making the tackle. Lomax not having a good one. So Storm will get the ball here at the 10. And see, when I said don't say bias, we then get a Titans fan say Titans 1 at 12 safest, and then we get a Dogs fan say Dogs 13 plus the safest. This is the issue that we find through this channel. We've got too many Muppets. We just got too many Muppets. Wow, we've got a lot of blood on the eye here. A lot of blood for the Eels. Matt Dury, he's got blood everywhere. So clock has stopped. Acidic Ankle says Broncos over Rabbits for sure. Is it though? Like, really? Is it? Because the Rabbitohs were tough last week against the Sharks, but the Sharks threw jack shit at them. They just had to make a lot of tackles. So they can tackle. If they can force an error or two out of the Bronx, like the Broncos love a good error. Surely the Broncos bounce back, but I'd say it should be Panthers over Titans. It should be. I'm a Glebe fan up the mighty Dirty Reds. I'm starting to believe you actually are, because you mention Glebe nearly once a week nowadays. All right, so second tackle now for the Storm at the 15. Johnson says, let's go Adda. Are you trying to say Parramatta? Or are you trying to say Ativalu Lisati? What's Adda? Mitchell said, safest loss, I think you mean Daz. Yeah, Mitchell and Daz, mate, they're going to be punching on this week. Mitchell and Daz going to be punching on the chat for sure. Daz, are you going to the game? You going to the game? A forward tackle now at 35? Or are you punching on Mitchell here? I just reckon the Broncos side is too strong for a very weakened Rabbit side. Sure, but you would have thought the Broncos were too strong for the Eels last week too. Great defensive last week, but I'm wondering if they can back it again. I think they can back it again. I just don't think the Rabbitohs have an attack in them. They don't have any attack at all. Their attack is the second worst in the comp. only to the Newcastle Knights. Second tackle for the Eels. They'll be at the 38. This is only a 2-point game right now. Only a 2-point game. Now third tackle here at the 45. So it's Glebe in a West Spanian. That's Daz mate for you, mate. That's Daz mate on the old Spanios brigade. Third tackle now. Now fourth tackle for the Eels, and they'll be at the 45. Daz is ducking. It wouldn't surprise me. Dean Farray, the greatest dirty red of all time. Dean Farray. Fifth tackle for the Eels at the 28. Acidic Angles says, yeah, you're not wrong in the Eels game there, can't argue. Well, yeah, you can't argue with it. It's just, and this is the thing with the Broncos, one sec. Storm will get the ball at the 5. No, it's going to be a penalty to the Eels, right in front, take the 2. This should be a 10-10 ball game. There is going to be an escort there, which is going to give the penalty. Oh, Munster again, dude. This is his 5th penalty of the game. This is Cameron Munster's individual 5th penalty of the game. He stops in front of Dylan Walker. It's the correct call. Don't challenge it, Storm. You're not challenging this. No, you're not. You're going to lose the challenge. You are going to lose the challenge. Munster is originally going for the ball. He then looks to his left. He can see Dylan Walker coming through. He then stops in front of Dylan Walker. This is a blatant penalty, and you're going to lose your challenge off the back of an absolutely numpty challenge. There is absolutely no reason to be challenging this. Munster very clearly will stop in front of Dylan Walker. The ball is going back to the 5. If you are going for that ball there, Munster, you are going towards the 5. You are not going to be stepping in front of Dylan Walker and stopping. This is a stupid challenge, and if they make this a successful challenge, they're off their rocker. He knows exactly what he's doing here. You have to say this is an unsuccessful challenge, and it's a dumb challenge with that. Look at him. He's looking at Walker. He's not looking at the ball. He is not looking at... Yeah, it takes him out. Penalty. Stupid challenge. Stupid challenge by Melbourne. Stupid challenge. So, it's going to be 2. Eels will go for the 2 from right in front. You'd assume the Taxman should get this one, but you never guarantee him with jack shit. In regards to the Broncos chat, the Broncos, as I said in the pre-game stream, the Broncos are a team that make a ridiculous amount of errors against teams that are no-hopers, but still find a way to win the game. And that's what they nearly still did last week against the Eels. Last week against the Eels is how they play. That is the Broncos. That was not them playing poorly based off of a difference to how they played in the last 6 wins in a row they had. It's just that they would usually still find a way to win that game. So the Broncos are nowhere near the perfect product. But Broncos fans will hate me saying that. They'll say, you just a bias, you hate the Broncos. It's like, you can think that all you like, but if you watch their games, you know I'm telling the truth. The Broncos will average out at around 8 to 10 errors a game, which is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. The Roosters are the same team as you. Roosters, not 8 to 10. They'll average out like 12 to 14 in a game, the Broncos. The exact same team as the Roosters. And they both had the same kind of result last week. The Roosters have a lot of errors, still find a way to win the game, but they just lost by 4 points to the Storm. And the Broncos have a lot of errors and usually find a win the game, but they just lost to the Eels. But every single game in their 6 or 7 game win streak coming into that game last week, the Broncos played the exact same way. Dasmate says, yeah, have to pick up me South mates, Seno check. Okay, what's happening here? What's this English, Daz? Have to pick up me South mates. Why don't you put South with 2 F's at that point? Have to pick up me South mates Seno check from the Centrelink right down the street from Combank. So yes, I'll be attending. I don't know what just happened then, but why has South got anything to do with Tigers Bulldogs on Sunday? What's happening? And also, can you even... I wouldn't know. Is Centrelink happen on Sundays? Can you actually... Is Centrelink open on Sundays? Any Penrith fans in the chat help us out? Brendan says Finns are favourites over the Wires in New Zealand. Well, yeah, Dolphins are scoring 50 points of fun recently, and the Warriors just lost the Titans in New Zealand, and the Titans had like 6 of their players out. The Warriors have like maybe 3 of their regular last week, but they've also got a lot more out this week. I think Fisher Harris is out as well. I think they've got heaps of players out, the Warriors, this week as well. I could be wrong. Or they might be on concern watch. So the Eels will whack that ball down to the 10, where Pappenhausen will get this ball out to the 15, gives it off to... I can't even see who that is. Grant Anderson. And he'll be at the 23, first tackle. 23 minutes to go here. Tied game, 10-10. It's not been the greatest quality game at all. It's been an awful quality game, but at the very least, it's a close game. Paul says, didn't think that the Bulldogs would crush the Eagles like that last week. I tipped the Bulldogs on faith alone that they would bounce back, but I never thought they would win by that much. Manly just capitulated. But Bulldogs' intensity was brilliant. It was a really physical start to them, which is what you love to see out of the Dogs. That's the kind of team they are that really gets them going. That's a knock on from the Eels. Sylvie 6 again here for the Storm. Oh no, they said he hit his arm, so this is going to be knocked backwards and just play on. Sure, I don't know how that works, but anyway. Now they're going to go out at the 5, so the Eels will get the ball hit at the 10, 22.5 minutes to go the game. I tipped the Bulldogs on faith alone, they'd bounce back. Never thought Manly would be that bad. I thought it'd be a belter of a game. I did enjoy watching the game, but Bulldogs were just clearly the better team that second half specifically. First half they did well enough, and they were the dominant team, but Manly kind of hung around them, but the second half they just fell apart. But I did say, about 5 minutes in the second half, if you watch the stream, I was talking about how Manly looked evidently tired, and they didn't concede for a little bit after that, but then once they did, that just opened the floodgates. Tasmate says, I would have no idea I'm a Dogs fan. Valid, you brought up Centrelink, but they're tackled now for the Eels and they'll be at the 28. Brandon says, Jared, yeah, but the Wires are 4th on the ladder and they're 8th, but if they have a few injuries, I'd get it. I would say right this very second, the Dolphins have been playing better football than the Warriors, for sure. For sure, I understand ladder positioning, but... So that's the right-hand side. Mitchell Moses here, he's away. You could argue that's a penalty. You could argue you didn't get back to 10 there. No, it's just going to be a knock-on against the Eels, and Pappenhausen's still going here. He'll be at the 35. I'd argue the Eels could have had a penalty then. But anyway, 0 tackle for the Storm at the 35. So I was Dads, put your whole Centrelink paycheck on Finns, Raiders, Bulldogs, Sharks. So, see, I love your comment because you didn't tell them to back the Panthers, which means you believe the Titans are going to win, which means you're a good bloke. Get around it, Solo. Dasmate says, the Dogs are now your favourite players' premiership favourite. No, I don't think so. I think a lot of players actually would be backing in the Panthers from you. So, but not that I believe it, but beautiful play there, but they'll be taken down to the 18. Might be a high tackle. No, 5th tackle here for the Storm. 20 metres out. They give it to Munster. Munster short side, kicks it through. Great pickup from Papali. He's learned from last week, but it is going to be a penalty to the Storm here. You take the 2 every day of the week. You take the 2 every single day of the week in Melbourne to make it a 12-10 ball game. 20 minutes to go here of the game. You would assume Storm are going to take the 2 here, even though it's a little bit to the left. Hit that like button and subscribe. That is going to be a penalty against Moses, obstructing the kick chase. And it aligns with this game. Like, if for people who are just tuning in, the penalty count in this game is 7 penalties against the Eels, 8 penalties against the Storm, 9 errors against the Eels, and 5 errors against the Storm. This is ludicrous. 15 penalties in this game is disgusting, and they're all warranted. They are all justified, dude. Like, it is ridiculous how poorly disciplined both these teams have been today, and the Storm are going to get another 2. But their kicking game, everyone's penalties and kicking games today has been awful. Awful. I need to get the Ty, Herbal and Haler to get me going again because the amount of penalties here is making me sick. Yeah, I'll go tell you the injuries here for that Warriors game while he lines up at the kick. I'll go tell you, because there is a few. The Warriors-Dolphins game is tomorrow. So, the reason why the Dolphins are favourite, 1, because I think they're playing better footy than the Warriors at the moment, but also 2, the Dolphins coming off a bye. 3, the outs for the Warriors are Chanel Harris-Davida, Dimitri Malga, Wade Egan, their 9, and then James Fisher-Harris, their prop. And then you've also obviously still got Luke Metcalf out injured. You've also got... Rocco Berry out injured, who would normally probably play, you would assume. They're a bit all over the shop, the Warriors, this week. They've got a lot more injuries this week. They do have injury excuses this week comparatively to last week. And, oh my gosh, the kicking game tonight's been awful. It's going to end up being a dropout. They missed the kick. The conversion and penalty kicking tonight has been just as abhorrent as the penalty count. He missed the kick by a while. Like, he didn't even get close. Craig Bellamy is flipping out. Like, Pappenhausen mustn't have been practicing his kicks. I know he's been injured, but, like, why is he kicking then? Why is he kicking? Clearly he's not fit enough to be kicking right now. So Moses line dropout will go a bucket load, 60 metres. 60 metres there, and the Storm are going to be 45 metres out on the Eels side of the field, first tackle. I'm just shocked. Why are they giving the kicks to Pappenhausen when very clearly, oh my gosh, we've seen a knock on. Oh, lads, like, what are you? Craig Bellamy's out. He's walked away. Like, you're kidding me. You're kidding me. This game is just penalties and errors. Like, you're actually kidding me at this point. You're actually kidding me. And that's why it's very smart from the Eels to be doing these long dropouts, because the Storm are making mistakes. But dead set. Like, this has just been penalties and errors from both teams. Both teams. Kick them out of comp. Kick them out of the comp for this game. It's a close game. And there's Craig Bellamy walked out of the coach's box. He walked out. Oh, dead set. Yeah, it makes sense. If the Eels knock it on this set, I'm walking away. I'll walk away. If there's a penalty or an error on this set, I'm walking away. So Eels' second tackle. They'll get the ball to the halfway point. Craig Bellamy's back in the coach's box. And now Eels will be at the 40 on third tackle. 100% Bellamy just done some crim damage. He would have absolutely had a punch on with the wall. Eels now, they'll get this ball to the 35, to the 30. And now to the 25 on fourth tackle. You won't, you're scared. No, we'll walk away. Yeah. Go to the bathroom or something. I'll give myself a slap over there. Headbutt a wall or something. That's what I'm going to need to do. Fifth tackle over the Eels at the 15. Dylan Walker to Mitchell Moses. Moses now. Papali. They're going over the sideline. 100%. We don't go over the sideline, but he's taking down a fifth tackle. 5 metres out. Darren Wollongong. Let's go to the Storm. From Wollongong, Darren. You're a Storm fan. Why? Why aren't you a Dragons fan, Darren? So that's going to be Storm getting the ball 5 metres away from their own line. Still 10-10 ball game. Middle says, not surprised a game with Sean Russell playing in it is a complete shitter. Well, at least it's a close game where both teams deserve it to be a tied game 10-10. Like, honestly, no one has been the better team here today. They've both been the worst team. Both of them have not been the better team. Third tackle now at the 25. Darren says, Damo and Darren series, they don't live there. Well, fair enough, but Storm now right-hand side. They give it off here, and Grant Anderson's at the 50. Here's the 45. The 40, he's still going here at the 35. The 30, great run there by the Storm. Grant Anderson now 30 metres away from the Eels line. They roll it back to Tyron Wishart. He'll get it across now to Pappenhausen. Pappenhausen gets it across to Harry Grant underneath for a good run from Munster. And Munster will be fifth tackle, 25 metres out. Takes himself out of the fifth play. Fifth play, Harry Grant kicks it through. I don't know if that's played at. That's probably going to be a knock on Eels. No, it's just going to be Eels ball at the 25. This is a schmozzle of a game. At the 20, sorry. This is a schmozzle. This is a schmozzle right now. And Taxman taking it down 22 metres away from his own line. Second tackle. Buck says, Eels at least looking way better in attack with Moses back. You are not looking good in attack at all. Another penalty in this game. Both these teams have not looked... The Eels have not looked good in attack at all today. At all. Last week they did. Last week they looked great in attack. Today they look awful. Both these teams... Brother, there is no way I'm going to see positivity about these two teams right now with a penalty count of 10 penalties against the Storm and 7 penalties against the Eels, 9 errors against the Eels and 6 errors against the Storm. Storm's error count isn't actually that bad. Eels' error count is. Like, I'm saying the Eels can win this game. And what did I say at halftime? I said if it got up to 47% and Storm 53%, at the end of the game, the Eels probably would win this game. The possession count has evened out to about 56% to 44%. So for the Eels to win, they probably need to... Now it's 55% to 45%. So they are getting up to that possession equaliser like I was talking about at half-time. They're not quite there just yet, but there's a chance for them to score right now. Third tackle, 15 metres out. Junior Bolo gives it off to Dylan Walker. Walker now... That's a knock-on. That's a knock-on. That's a knock-on. How is this Eels attack good today? How... Like, that's now their... What are they at now? What's their error count now? It's 10 errors now. Like, I respect that the Eels are staying in this game, but like the Storm have been awful. Like, here's your emphasis. You guys don't need me to repeat how the average set distance works on the averages. 33.84 is the best average set distance in this game for the Storm. That is in the underwhelming category, in the mid-range of the underwhelming category. The Eels, they're at 32.13. That is middle to lower range of the underwhelming category. Neither team is even hitting the basic mark for an average set here of 35 metres. Neither team. The Eels are giving up 31 missed tackles. So only 15 for the Storm. Like the completion rate for both these teams is actually not too bad. For the Eels, I'm actually astounded that it's not too bad, even though that's not counting the next one, which will bring them down to about 74%. But the fact of the matter is that whoever wins this game is going to win this game by being the better team of two really bad teams in today's game. I'm not saying the Storm are bad overall, but they are showing some really weakness signs. They've missed out on Jerome Hughes dramatically. It's just that the Storm, they don't really have excuses comparatively. 1 second here, Storm. The Eels will get taken down to 10. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to say there is that the Eels are a very lowly ranked team that are better, but it's not on an attack. They're just doing better as a collective comparatively to an individual point of their game. The Storm have just been poor today, and so have the Eels, but they're both at a similar equal rate of being poor. Same as the score. Well, the tough thing for you to come to terms with here, Mr. Samuel Gaming, is that it's literally on the screen right in front of you. So 4 tackle now for the Eels, and they're 38 metres away here from their own line. Score is 10-10, if you just can't see. Eels at least creating some chances, unlike earlier in the season where they... Well, sure, if you want to compare it to earlier in the season, but I don't think that this Eels... I don't think either team, I could say, has been good today at all in any category, really. Again, any category. But Xavier Coates with a strong run back here to the 20, and I don't want to just harp in on the negatives, but it's so hard today when you're seeing over 16, 17 penalties in the game so far. And the Eels haven't really threatened the Storm whatsoever, and the Storm haven't really threatened the Eels whatsoever. So now the Storm will get this ball offloaded to the ground. I don't know if that's a knock on. No, it's not. No, it's not. And the Storm go down the right-hand side, and it's going to be Nick Meaney at the 40 on third tackle. Is Bellamy under pressure? Bellamy's not under pressure at all, mate. At all. Fourth tackle. Bellamy will never be under pressure. Utukamanu bumps off of Adokar there. He's still going here, Utukamanu. He'll be at the 25. Fourth tackle. Brent says, Jonah is coming to save the day. Are people in the chat blind? Sometimes, mate, is the answer to that question. Fifth tackle of the Storm. I'm not even trying to have a go at you there, Buck. I'm just kind of replying to you to say, like, from a neutral perspective, I disagree with you. But you're entitled to your opinions. Xavier Coates! Try time for the Melbourne Storm. And that is exactly what Xavier Coates does. They kick it over to the left-hand side, and the Storm will take the lead here at 14-10 with a kick to come. That is a beautiful kick. And, you know, if there is a positive to go off today here for the Storm, their kicking game, when they're in the attacking 20, has actually been pretty top-notch for the most part. It all does start the back of that run from Stefano Utukamanu around the halfway point, and they just obviously work their way through the middle and then off to the left-hand side for Xavier Coates in the air. And if Xavier Coates or Daniel Tupou are in the air, you're always going to be backing them in. It's a one-on-one there between Coates and Lomax. Lomax is usually pretty damn well good in regards to defending the high ball, but he's not had a good game at all here today. And Xavier Coates just gets over the top of him and puts the ball down over the line. Russell just got bitched, not surprising. Oh, Washington Braille, exactly right. Claudia says, how many minutes left? There is 10 minutes to go here of the game, guys. So hit that like button and subscribe. 10 minutes to go. It's 14-10 to the Storm. They have missed 2 penalties today. No, 2 conversions and a penalty? I think 2 conversions and a penalty. Jack Lewis says, cheating having Coach on the wing. He leaps like salmon from the floor into the air. Like Superman, is he human? Him and Daniel Tupou are the same. Xavier Coates just plays for the Melbourne Storm, and he gets a lot more of the recommendations and regards from the NRL community. But Daniel Tupou and Xavier Coates are very clearly like equal at the very top of, if you kick the ball out to them, they have a very high chance, a significantly high chance of getting that ball and putting it down. Hey, guess what? They switched it back to Nick Meaney for the conversion, so they probably get this. Well, it's from the side. It's a hard kick, but... Nick Meaney on the kicking duties. They remove Pappenhausen, and Nick Meaney will get the kick. He should have been kicking the whole game. If he had been kicking the whole game, the Storm would have probably had this wrapped up by now, and they would have been up by 12 points rather than 6. But it is 16-10 into the Storm with 9 minutes to go of the game. Brent says, Coates the cheat code, Lomax glitched. Yeah, Lomax has had a rough game here today, man. He's made a few mistakes. Lagan says, I reckon Foz could jump over Coates or Tupou. Mate, Foz is the greatest player of all time. He can do anything. He can do a backflip over the top of them. So Storm try, Eels try, Storm try, Eels try, Storm try. This game's not over, Eels fans. You're only down by 6 points with 9 minutes to go, and with how poorly both teams have played, I could easily see the Eels still finding a way to score here. But Utukamanu, he'll be 8 metres out from the line. Don't forget, we've got both the Warriors, Dolphins, And, oh my gosh, and here you go. Oh my gosh, an error. Oh, it goes backwards. The Storm dropped the ball, and I was thinking the Eels were going to score just then. But it is second tackle for the Storm at the 5. They're very lucky they had a man back to get it. But now the Eels can really focus in on the defense and keep him down here in this 20. They're 10 metres out, third tackle. This is going to end up being an awful set from the Storm, which is going to put the Eels back into an attacking opportunity. About time for the Eels collapse. I don't think the Eels are going to collapse here. Both teams have been poor. They've kind of both collapsed the entire game. So Munster will kick this one to the 15, where Papali to the 20, 25 to the 30, and now to the 35 on first tackle. 8 minutes to go here. Oh, take it back to the 25. That's a great tackle from the Storm. That's a great tackle. I don't think the Eels are going to collapse here. Like, sure, the Storm could score and put this one to bed, but I could easily see the Eels still finding a way to score one more and tie it up. Great offload there from the Eels. And they'll get this ball to the 45. That's the first good thing that Lomax has done all day. Yeah, the buck to the Eels is still in this. Yeah, they're only down by 6. Absolutely. And with the way this game has gone, it's gone try for the Storm, try for the Eels, try for the Storm, try for the Eels, try for the Storm. Now it's the Eels' turn. So the Eels are 4 tackle, 38 metres out. Debbie said Storm are extremely dirty, don't you think? Yeah, no, they've made a lot of ill discipline today. There's a lot of high tackles, especially for Munster. Munster has given away 5 penalties himself today. Cameron Munster has given away 5 penalties off of his own back in today's game. 3 of them high tackles. So Eels kick it up, and Pappenhausen grabs it at the 5. Now, Eels, you just got to really hone on the defense here. They're going to knock on. No, don't worry about that. You're going to be on the attack. This game's still on, man. This is what I'm trying to say to the Eels fans. This game's still on. The Storm will knock this ball on. That is now, this game, that is now the 17th error of the game. We've also seen the same amount of penalties. So the Storm will allow the Eels an opportunity to score here with 7 minutes to go. It is a 6-point ball game, but the Eels will be 10 metres out on the attack. 10 metres out on the attack. Let's see if they put up a high kick to see if they try and get... Because Lomax is usually good under the high ball. All right, so the Eels at the 15. It's going to be Papali. And Parley runs straight back into where the scrum was, which made no sense. First tackle 9 metres out. Although I took the Storm Penrith better. Penrith have absolutely nothing to do with this game. So Junior Polo, he's going to be 3 metres out from the line, second tackle. Puppy has been really poor tonight. Yeah, I think he's just coming back from injury. Obviously, might have been a little bit rushed. Out to right-hand side, Lomax. Lomax will get taken out of the 4. Jeez, he had some space, though. Third tackle, 6 minutes to go of the game. Lomax rolls it back. They give it out to Moses. Moses here off to Luca Moretti. And Luca Moretti is 5 metres out for tackle. I don't think the Eels have received a single forced dropout tonight. So let's see if they can change it if they don't score. And good rush up defense there from the Storm. Eels get the offload at the back. And now Jermaine Hopgood, he'll be 10 metres away from the line. Fit tackle. Can you get a forced dropout? A repeat set? I don't think they've had one all night. Oh, Storm broken down defense. Oh, Papali gets away from a tackle. He flicks it all the way out the back here to Junior Bolo. Junior Bolo, it's fit tackle, buddy. You got to get that ball away. Oh my gosh, they still might score. No, they get the ball offloaded again. Knock on Eels. Talon the Silver knocks the ball on, then just boots it to another realm. He boots it to an alternate reality because he was so angry. It was nice there for the Eels to be getting the offloads away and throwing the ball around a little bit, but they really needed to get the ball to a playmaker. Like, I know... honestly, you probably could have penalised Talon the Silver for kicking the ball away there. But anyway, it's 0 tackle for the Storm at the 25. Zetsby says, come on, Lomax. Well, he's not Lomax, and he's been pretty bad today. First tackle now for the Storm. And they give it off to Elliot Katoa. He's going to be at the 40 on second tackle. The thing is, Mitchell, who has been good tonight? You say Puppy has been really poor tonight. Who has been good? Now third tackle for the Storm. Jay just got K'd. Josh King to the 50. Now fourth tackle. I'll roll it back here to Harry Grant. Off to Tyron Wishart. And Wishart will still go. He steps around a couple. It'll be 35 metres out, fit tackle. I don't understand how that was a 7 tackle set either, Mitchell, because they obviously stopped the play. I wondered that. I didn't even think to speak about it, but my brain did think about that at the time. Because they obviously stopped the play, and then it apparently ended up being a 7 tackle set. Yeah, you got K, Jay. K. So first tackle now for the Eels at the 15. Debbie, if you want to K Brenton, just give it to him. Give him a big old K. Put a full stop at the end of it too to assert dominance. Second tackle for the Eels. They'll be 15 metres away. 3 minutes and 43 seconds to go here. And referee tells them to take it back to the mark. Come on, man. Get out of the game. Yeah, good on you, Debbie. Get into him. That's exactly what we wanted to see. That's what you get, Brenton, for doubting Tanner Boyd. So out to Dean Hawkins. Good passing. And Sean Russell brings it to the 35. Fit tackle. Not a great set there from the Eels. They need to do way better than that. Yeah, Jay forgetting to update the scoreboard is always a rough one. He's got to learn. Good pass out from Mitchell Moses there. That was really nice stuff. They're going to have to kick this ball. Oh, for gosh sake, Lomax. He's been awful. He's been awful, dude. Like, Lomax, you know you are being tackled there. You know you don't have an opportunity, so kick the ball or stop and then try and pass it. Rather than, that was, like, he knew what was going to happen there. He knew what was going to happen. You're getting a minute, Brenton. You're getting a 1 minute. You're getting a 1 minute, buddy. All right, so it's going to be Storm ball here at the 35. Jared says, that's right. Tanner is the bald guy on the bench. Common mistake there. No, he knows, mate. He knows. Second tackle at the 45. Hugger says, if Eels win, what position will they be on? 11th. But, the Cowboys could jump them. So could the Dragons and whatnot, but that would rely on some upsets. Fourth tackle here for the Storm at the 33. Josh King to Harry Grant, then to Utukamanu, and it'll be third tackle, 25 metres out. This is probably going to be the last set the Eels get here. And Harry Grant, they're thinking about a field goal here. No, it's going to be a penalty to the Eels. Yeah, he's deliberately passed it into the player. No, and Harry Grant can't even challenge it too. He's deliberately passing the player to try and get a penalty, and that is a penalty for the opposition team. So that is a good call there from the referee, and the Eels are going to get a penalty here at the 25. He has deliberately passed the ball into the player. You are not allowed to do that. They changed that rule. They made sure that it penalises. They're very inconsistent with it. But at the end of the day, that is what they call. That is what they call. Debbie says, do you think Loma should have stayed the Dragons? No, I think the Eels have a potentially better future right now than the Dragons. But it was looking shaky for a bit. It was looking shaky for a little bit. So first tackle of the Eels, 35 metres away from the Storm line. This will be their last set. If they get a forced dropout, they might only get like a tackle from it. So this is pretty much their last set right now. Second tackle here for the Eels. They need a converter to try to tie this game up. Hit that like button and subscribe. We'll be here live for every game this weekend. They go to the right hand side. Talon Silver to Mitchell Moses. They give it 15 metres out. Third tackle. Probably says go for a field goal. Mate, Jay would love that. Third tackle to Mitchell Moses. Moses now at the back now to Dean Hawkins. Hawkins off to Charlie Geimer. No, Jack Williams, sorry. And Williams is 15 metres out. Fourth tackle. You got two tackles here, Eels. Two tackles. And Luca Moretti, 10 metres out. Not the play. Fifth tackle. He's trying to get a penalty here. He's going to stay down. Obviously, you'll get a complete fresh set if you get this penalty. Because he can't take the two. Now, Storm would only go on fraud load if they lose ACDX. I get the point that you're making, but I can't put a team on when they win. Oh, this will actually probably class as a high tackle. Chest into the... Oh, no, they're not going to call anything. I don't know what they call nowadays for that. And fit tackle. Short ball, junior ball. What are they doing? What did I just watch, Parramatta? I'm actually just... I'm in shock horror that I've just witnessed what the Eels did on fit tackle. You just lost the game. What are you doing? What on earth were they... What are they doing? Well, 25 seconds to go here. That was the most anticlimactic end of the set. They just passed the ball to Junior Borlo and it was Storm ball 3. You couldn't write it. That is the perfect way to end this game with how many errors and penalties we've seen. You couldn't write it. They decided to run... Oh, the Storm are going to lose the ball. No, it's gone backwards. Yeah, Parra's attackers look so good today, Mitchell says. That's the point. Like, that's what I was trying to make a reference to before. You know, and the Storm are going to win this game 16-10. Now, if you watch this game, you know what I mean. This was an awful game, but it was close. If you don't watch this game, you're probably going to think this was a fantastic bloody ripper. But, wow. The Storm have fallen over the line there. The Eels on fit tackle, I can't believe what I just witnessed. But anyway, the Storm will now go into second position. But that's the most anticlimactic way to end that. Just end that. You can't get much more anticlimactic than what we just witnessed. But the Storm will go into second position now. They will go over the Bulldogs, but obviously the Bulldogs will play the West Tigers on Sunday. Actually, I'm going to refresh this because I want to see where the Nice jumped up to, because that does impact the Eels. Oh, they haven't actually given... Oh, no, they have given the bye. So, yeah, the Storm will finish off the round... Or not finish off the round. They will be in second for the time being. They've just locked up their top 4 spot. Like, sure, that wasn't convincing tonight, though. But the Dogs probably do beat the Tigers on Sunday to put the Storm back into third position. It's just a to and fro with these two teams over the next... the last 5 rounds. Obviously... inclusive of this round, 6 rounds, but from the next 5 rounds, then those two teams is going to go interchangeable. And then you got the Eels on the other hand, who are now in third last because the Knights with their bye have gone above them. So the Eels are now 100% in the bottom 4. Tigers, you've actually joined the bottom 4 as well because the Knights have a better points differential than you. Now, the thing is for the Eels is that if the Titans win by any points against the Panthers on Saturday, they will go into 16th. If the Rabbitohs win by any points against the Broncos on Saturday, I think it is as well, might be Sunday. But if the Titans and Rabbitohs both win, the Eels will be in last position. They will drop down to last place. Now, that would take a gigantic upset for the Titans and a gigantic upset for the Rabbitohs. But the point of the matter is that you are now third last with the potential to go last if those two results go against you. So it makes it quite worrying for you. Brenton says, yes, out of the bottom 4. Yep, but if the Tigers beat the Bulldogs, you can... If the Tigers beat the Bulldogs, then you would drop back into the bottom 4 and whatnot. You've got a couple of tough matches. You're definitely not avoiding the spoon yet, but this is crazy. If the Titans and Rabbitohs both get a win this week against the grain and get an upset, there will be Dragons, Knights, Tigers, Eels, Titans, and Rabbitohs all on 18 points, all equal with the spoon, but it would just be the Eels who would be in last position. If that happened, there would be 6 teams in equal last if both the Titans and Rabbitohs found a way to win. Again, very unlikely, but that tells you how close that bottom of the table is, and it would bring the Cowboys back into the range, because then they'd only be on 19 points. They'd be 1 point away from dropping into that last position, but they do have a bye, so I don't think the Cowboys can have a spoon. Right now, the most exciting, I don't think the top 4 battle with the Panthers and Warriors and whatnot is that exciting comparatively to how that bottom of the table looks. The bottom of the table is scary shit. If you are any of the Rabbitohs, Titans, Eels, Tigers, Knights, Dragons, and Cowboys, you are still a very good chance of coming last. You're still a very good chance of coming last. Luckily for the Rabbitohs, the Tigers, and the Cowboys, you've all got byes. And that's why I think the Cowboys should be fine. But if the Cowboys lose this weekend, like I said, the Titans and Rabbitohs get wins, then it would be 1 point. Yes, they'd have a bye, but it would still be very, very nerve-wracking for them. So, yeah, that's really interesting. That's 7 teams within 1 point of each other if those results happened. And either way, it's close regardless. So, anyway, I'll read a couple of comments and then I'll jump off. Breton says, Tigers with the bye next week. Yeah, tight bottom 4 to end the season. Absolutely. It's probably the most exciting part of it right now, because that top 8 looks not locked up. But, you know, Manly and the Roosters will still fancy themselves, but maybe not so much. Yeah, went from spoon bowl to spoon league. Exactly right. Nearly half of the bottom, more than half of the bottom 9, more than half are in a spoon race right now. They really are. Buck says, who else is hoping for the Tigers 4-peat? I don't think they get it, but they do play the Titans on the last round of the season. They do have a bye still to come, which helps them, but yeah, they've still got 1 more win than the Dragons, the Knights, the Eels, and the Rabbitohs, and still got 2 more wins than the Titans. But again, that Titans-Rabbitohs game next week is huge in the context of that bottom of the... Mitchell's timed him out. Mitchell timed him out for 10 seconds for that. Casey says, not going to lie, I reckon we go for 2 and upset the Panthers. Well, I hope so, mate. I hope you're right. But anyway, guys, I'm going to jump off here for now. I appreciate you for tuning in. Obviously, we'll be live tomorrow for the Warriors versus Dolphins, and also the other game, which is the Broncos versus the Rabbitohs. So yeah, Broncos, Rabbitohs tomorrow night, plus also Warriors, Dolphins. We'll be live for both of them. Obviously, hit that like button, subscribe. I appreciate you as always. I've actually got a big projector here. I'm in this Airbnb, and I've got a huge projector, which is going to be cool. So I'm going to chill out here and just watch I might even watch straight out Compton. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Catch you later. Don't know what I just watched Eels in that last play. See ya.